The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Yo, what up? This is Rocky Asuka Romero of Chaos, and you are listening to Keepin' It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the ace of podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the ace of podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here once again with Chris Samsa from sportofprowrestling.com. On today's show, we'll preview G1 Climax 36 and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network and Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts and newsletter over at socialsuplex.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and clicking on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And we are streaming live right now on patreon.com/KI Strong Style. If you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm here. I'm good. I'm a little less warm than last week. We're out of the heat. What were they calling? The heat dome or the heat bubble? So we're doing okay. Yeah. And it's G1 season, baby. Let's go. This is prime time for me, you know. Yeah. So yeah. This is why I'm still here. If it weren't for the G1 and maybe some Wrestle Kingdom, I don't know if I'd still be around, but man, it's fun. This is a fun season. So, and we'll have a good time talking about it as we head towards night one coming up here soon.
Yeah, and it's not a fill-in for you this week. This is a planned appearance. Our G1 preview every year. We were talking before we went on the air that you've been doing this preview show since 2020. G1 Climax 30. Young boy still in the midst of a move. I don't fully understand the move situation, but it's been a beast. But he might do a run-in at some point in the show. But glad to have you on here for your 7th G1 preview.
My 7th G1 Climax preview with the Keeping It Strong Style fam. It'll be my 8th G1 covering in the way that I cover wrestling and contributing to the New Japan community in this way. We were just talking to that. I started doing this, in this way in 2019. And at that point we were just saying nothing could stop New Japan except COVID. a global pandemic that's somehow worse in Japan or handled differently in Japan than most of the rest of the world. And another major wrestling company coming in to essentially take everything New Japan had built and bring it to America, which is great. We love that. No, that's not where we're headed with this conversation. But yeah, we were all on the come up right around then, and here we are though in 2026 with another G1 ahead, a good field, another G1 that. I have big, broad strokes to talk about, as well as probably some granular statistics as we go. And but we're out here, we're doing it. We're doing G1, and it's coming to my town, right? So it is a special year for me because I will see some friends coming into town here in a couple of days, and we will hopefully help kick things off with some style.
Yeah, I'm bummed out. I'm not going to be able to make the trip this year. I always looked forward to my, annual Chicago, New Japan visit. Come see you guys. Come get some pizza, hang out, have a good old time there in Chicago. But yeah, things were just kind of crazy with the newborn, didn't line up. So not going to be able to make it this time. I feel like next year, if they come back to Chicago, I'll be in a good spot to head on out.
Yeah, of course. Always welcome. We would have loved to have you, obviously, but I wholeheartedly understand where you're coming from. If it weren't coming to specifically Chicago, I probably would not be traveling to the G1, even if it was in the US. 50-50. Depends on where it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I feel like we had a similar conversation last year for All in Texas, where you were like, seeing Omega Okada live would be awesome. But yeah, things are just not a good
life
spot.
Life is life, man. Like you gotta, this is all most of the reason we do this is for fun and for the community of it all. And if it doesn't fit in, if it doesn't fit the fun, portion of it, if you don't have time and space for that, and sometimes as a parent, that's life. You don't have time and space for the fun. You've got time and space for family, and family is also fun. So, sometimes that's what you got to do. So, but yeah, we, if anyone is coming into Chicago, we'll be up in the suites. Top of the lower bowl will be in two of those suites. We have two adjacent suites because we have still about 30 people coming in and going to the suites. Some other podcasters and myself and some Voices of Wrestling contributors and Super J-Cast Damon will be in town. So if you're around and you see, a large group spread across two suites, just come say hey. If you want to come say hey. Would love to, run into some folks, especially while we're in the building watching the show.
Nice. Yeah. And also stay locked in on either our Patreon or just our normal KISS feed. It seems like we might potentially have some interviews that could come through leading up to G1. Just got a DM and some emails that are starting to fly around right now. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll bring you some exclusive interviews leading into the tournament.
Hell yeah. Love that.
Well, Chris, let's jump into it. Before we get to G1 preview, we got to quickly go through G1, Road to G1 Climax 36, Night 6. This was this morning, Monday, July 6th, from Corkin Hall. Nice packed out attendance of 1,483. Show opened up. We had Despi, Matsutori Yasuda, Taichi, and Yuya Uemura defeating the House of Torture of Doki, Ren Narita, Sonata, and Sho in 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So just kind of a little bit of a G1 preview there. Uemura on the Hantai side being in G1, Narita and Sonata in G1 from the House of Torture side, and then got some juniors, some young lines in the mix. But it's kind of your standard opening Hantai versus House of Torture tag right there. Then we had Aaron Wolf, Hiroki Goto, Bolton Oleg, and Tatsuya Matsumoto defeating the Unbound Company of Daiki Nagai, Shingo Takagi, Yota Tsuji, and Yuto Ice. So again, another G1 preview here with the Unbound Company side with Shingo, Yota, and Yuto all in the tournament, and then the Hantai side with Aaron Wolf, Goto, and Bolton in the tournament. And this was Bolton's return match from injury. I thought they kind of made a point of that on the ring introduction, so I found that interesting. And he did get the win over Daiki Nagai. So I wonder if things are going to be looking good for Big Bolton heading into the G1.
He feels important. So, and that's, I think we've all been sort of waiting for him to come over that hump. And I think this G1 will be telling as to how important, but yeah, he feels like he's going to be featured in some way. Yeah. I don't know. It's tough to say how far, but he's in the mix of like
I feel like
dudes you think they want to go with.
Yeah, I feel like he's in the right block to go forward.
Yes.
Yeah,
that is for sure. Yeah, he's gonna have a good performance. It's just a matter of if he comes out on top more often than not. Yeah. But I'm high on him. I haven't quite worked out my whole tournament as it's going to look, but I do, it's coming together fast now. On the surface, it looks like he's got a shot to have he land at minimum in the top half of this block. So, but yeah, it's good to see him come back and get a rep or two in and get out there. And the crowd was into him. You know, they're excited to have him back. I think he's an important piece to the puzzle right now.
Yeah, and I feel like he had a really good first half of the year pre-injury, obviously capturing the strong title, big match on the U.S. show earlier this year. So I just feel like he had good reaction on that show as well. So I feel like he's kind of clicking in the U.S. and in Japan, especially in Japan, and obviously not much being done with a strong title after winning it, but he still seems like a very important figure, a guy that is kind of slowly on the rise on the Hantai side of things.
The strong titles are so weird now.
Yeah.
Like they're just getting weirder. It's only getting weirder. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. Not the time for that conversation.
So following that, we had a Tiger Mask special three-way tag here. So we had the team of Dick Togo and Yoshinobu Kanemaru defeating Jado and Tiger Mask and defeating Gato and Taiji Ishimori in 6 minutes and 26 seconds. So a matchup here featuring a lot of Tiger Mask rivals and partners. Interesting, Jado, Dick Togo, and Gato were all partners at one point in time, and they were all on opposite teams here. And unfortunately for Tiger Mask, was not able to get the win here in his second to last Korakuen match, falling to a House of Torture antics here.
Yeah, I mean, felt like just getting Tiger Mask out there with guys that he came up with and spent a lot of time with. So yeah, I'll miss Tiger Mask. I think we'll talk about that as we'll probably breeze through at least tomorrow's show. But yeah, I'll miss Go Tiger.
Yeah, it's a bop.
It's a bop. It's a bop. And also like he's never been bad. He hasn't gotten to the point where like you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he's still out there. Like there's probably some guys, there's a guy in the news, right? That is sort of that way. And that you're sort of like, yeah, that makes sense that he's hanging it up. But I am pro Tiger Mask still. And but yeah, this just felt like they were getting out there and getting some guys that were appropriate in there with him.
Yeah. So then following that, we had the first play-in match here. So we had one half of the Knockout Brothers, Oscar, defeating Yujiro Takahashi in 9 minutes and 54 seconds. And we kind of joked about this one last week, but we're all in agreement that, yeah, we're pretty sure Oscar is getting the win here. But of course, this match was full of House of Torture shenanigans, interference, ref bumps. You had Yuto Ice coming out to make the save. They were able to hit the KOB on Yujiro, and Oscar was able to punch his ticket to G136.
Yeah, I mean, sort of exactly what you expected this to be. They had to make something out of it, but yeah, luckily the shenanigans were not too shenanigan-y to the point where you really ever felt like this situation was at risk. So because I don't know, like I said last week, Yujiro's been putting in a lot of effort, and I didn't know if he was trying to work himself up into a G1.
This guy was doing like reverse, Indian death locks in this match. Really, applying all these leg holds to Big Oscar.
I'm a big fan of effort, so no issue there. It's just I was very much rooting for Oscar, and that is what we got. So thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then following that, we had the other play-in match, and we had the Grip, Roy Oiwa, defeating El Phantasmo in 9 minutes and 36 seconds. So this was one that we felt could have gone a little bit either way. We were leaning more towards Oiwa, hoping Oiwa would get in, but also ELP has been a staple of G1 since being heavyweight, and he's been on a kind of an interesting run with a lot of international matches. He wrestled Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay on AEW TV last week, and I know he's in some other international stuff, so you couldn't fully count him out. But yeah, it was Oiwa here that was able to get the win.
Yeah, I think if I, as a betting man, I had Oiwa plugged into the contest, right? That we ended up being able to launch this morning, but this was the one that you couldn't rule out. It didn't make a ton of sense to me to leave Oiwa out of the tournament, but like you said, ELP was a guy that he's been a staple for them for a long time now, and we know that the company generally seems to like him, and he's beloved by the folks backstage as well as the wrestlers for that matter. So that makes betting a little different, right? So yeah. But it makes sense. It makes sense. I didn't think much of the match, neither of these matches really peaked to the point where they had the crowd in any sort of fury. And part of that's probably just the placement of the matches, right? Like there's two title matches behind it. They didn't get as much time as the last week's play-in matches that really got featured. Kind of both of them. These two were more very undercard singles match style, which is fine. It is what it is. I think ideally I would have liked to split up the other two matches and put these on the undercard of those shows, as a way to feature the G1 more, but they had other business to handle on this cork and they had to wait for Forbidden Door, I think. So that's scheduling, brother.
Yeah. But yeah, they were fine. Also, yeah, Oscar and Yujiro was nothing. But yeah, Oiwa and ELP, yeah, I thought it was very good. Obviously, only 9 minutes and 36 seconds. Obviously, maybe if they had more time, like you mentioned, slotting could have been better. But it was very good for what it was. I thought it was kind of a highlight reel. I mean, ELP, he did the big Orihara moonsault to the outside. Yep. He did all kind of his big high spots, and Oiwa had to like fight through and eventually hit the grip to get the win there. So with that, Oiwa is now locked into G1 Climax 36. And during this match, we did get the second of 2 mentions of Keeping It Strong Style on the broadcast. So if you missed it last week, Chris Samsa and I interviewed Chris Charlton, getting some of his thoughts about G1 Climax, and he name dropped the podcast on the broadcast. So thanks, shout out there, Chris Charlton. And we had a question from MJ saying, "Kiss is now New Japan canon. What will you do with this newfound power and influence?"
That's a question for you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I feel like in the early days, we were like, hoping and pleading, one day that, one of these guys would just mention the podcast on the airs because it's a cool thing to happen. And then, it would never happen. Like, whatever. And we just got to the point where like, it wasn't not something I really desired anymore. But I did perk up this morning when I was watching the show and he name dropped the podcast. I'm like, all right, there we go.
It gets you paying attention, right? I mean, like I don't know. Everyone knows where my name comes from, right? Like I do this thing. So, but I still get a little like, all right, cool. Like I'm part of the gang, right? I'm contributing to this community in a way that is respected enough that it can be referenced on a broadcast, right? And that is neat, right? There should be no, you should be very proud of that. You and Josh both should be very proud of that. And it is well-deserved. It's well-deserved from, like whenever that type of thing happens, it's always very well-deserved because I know, especially Chris, I know how seriously he takes his role. He works for New Japan, right? He's not a contractor or whatever. Like he, anything he says can be looked into by the rest of the people that work for New Japan. So anytime someone is referenced, I know he takes that seriously, and I know I assume Walker would be the same, right? Like anyone who's sitting at that table has to take that seriously because they're there to represent the company. And, last week Chris was here to represent the company, which was cool. Right. So, but yeah, you guys should be very proud. Your plaque is in the mail, right? So mine, I don't like to hang mine. My shout out plaque, I have a whole wallpaper of it, really.
I got some empty spots on my wall here. I might need a
you know the YouTube subscriber like plaque.
Yeah,
it's basically one of those, right? It's
with the lion mark.
It's a lion mark with a little microphone.
Nice.
From the broadcast gang. No, but yeah, no, I caught that too. I perked up for that. So yeah, it's a neat thing. You guys should be very proud. You should clip it and keep it in your files.
Yeah. Next question from Def Triangle 720 says, do you think ELP has been underutilized in New Japan after becoming a heavyweight?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, he's sort of everywhere, but nowhere all at the same time. So, never really got the big push. Certainly never at that like leader of Bullet Club, right? There was some conversation around the time that he was coming up to heavyweight that people thought that was where it was headed. And then it sort of pivoted to Finley, for good reason. ELP sort of had the crowd behind him, especially during that time. ELP is one of these guys he's sort of like El Desperado, where like the Korakuen fans love him. He's really well regarded amongst the hardcore fan base, and never quite turned that corner into being super over kind of globally, right? So, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the role that he plays. Could they have done more, or could they still do more with him? I think he's an incredibly talented wrestler. I think he's got a great mind for pro wrestling. I think he cares deeply about New Japan, and I think he, could do a lot with and for them. With all that said, not everyone can be the top dog and the top guy. But I think ELP is an important bridge to certain other, spaces in pro wrestling where he can go and represent New Japan in a way that is positive, and in a way that, doesn't necessarily mean he needs to have a title over his shoulder or a big push at all times. So, as we've sort of seen even recently over the last couple of weeks. So, underutilized, maybe. I mean, I'm a fan of the guy. I think he's a great guy, great wrestler. I root for him. But also I think maybe there's some comfort in his role on both sides. And there's nothing wrong with having a job that you just know that you're good at and sticking to it.
Yeah. And also, on your wrestling roster, you do have to have that talented veteran hand that helps get people over and put other people over. And that's a role that has to be filled on a roster. And, he is filling that role great. I mean, if I had the book, would I be doing some more of him? Definitely. I think, like you mentioned, he's super talented. And he's had some of the best G1 matches in the last few years since being in the tournament and being heavyweight. So I think he's a super talented guy, connects with the crowd. He can be a fiery babyface. We've seen him be a great heel when he was in the junior division. So I think he can kind of do it all. And I don't feel like he's missed a beat. I still feel like he's super athletic. There is this kind of weird thing where there is a pocket of Western fans who don't like him for whatever reason and thinks he's actually a bad wrestler, which to this day I still don't understand. But yeah, he rocks. And if New Japan wanted to use him in a more prominent role, I think they could and maybe should consider it. But I also do like this, and we talked about it last week, of having somebody like an ELP getting knocked out one year to let the viewers know, like, all right, these play-ins aren't, a joke. Like, we can get in a situation where you've had two guys who've been in the tournament previously, and one of them is getting knocked out and has to wait until next year. And also, I don't know what his whole contract situation is, but if you want to do this whole long-term arc with him of like, all right, now the rest of this year, next year is him trying to scratch and claw and get his way back into G1. And I mean, looking at some of the names of G1, there's always potential for injuries. There's always potential for people jumping companies. Spots will open up. And so it's going to make if he stays around New Japan next year and he's in the play-in situation, I think it's going to make it even more intriguing, because it's like, all right, does he get in, or is he going to get knocked out again?
Right. And that's sort of the glory of kind of how they're approaching these play-ins, is that, and we sort of, I don't know, I mean, within the community, there was a lot of discussion about doing stuff like play-ins or a tournament for the last couple spots, and now they're doing it, and it allows them this space to, create a storyline out of a guy like ELP not being in the tournament, instead of just leaving him out like they did Yoshihashi in 2019 or whatever, right? And it was like, oh, now he's not in the G1. And for a long time there, it was like, once you're out, it was like you had very little chance to get back in. And I don't really see things that way now. I think guys are going to come in and out, and I think that's nature of pro wrestling business right now, is that guys are going to be in and out of stuff. And New Japan for a little while there was lucky to have 3 or 4 years of super stable G1s, and then a big, 8 or 9 new guys are in and 8 or 9 guys are out. And then those guys stuck around for 3 or 4 years. And then, the changes were more subtle. And now we're, I think we're going to see a little bit more in ins and outs.
Yeah. So that was that. And then semi-main event, we had the IWGP Global Heavyweight title match. We had Gabe Kidd defeating Shota Umino to once again become the global champion. We talked about this match last week, Chris, and we're like, what do we do here? It kind of feels like Gabe has to win, or there's going to be some kind of smosh finish, which I thought might have been the case, because Gabe comes out, he drop kicks Marty Asami right out.
Marty will take a bump. We've seen it.
Yeah. And then Umino comes out, and they brawled for a good probably 10 minutes or so, all up and down the Korakuen hallway, up in the crowd. Gabe throws Umino into the stairs. He blades. He's hard away. He's bleeding all over the place, and Gabe's opening up the cut there. And so you just had this bloody brawl. And then eventually they get back in the ring, and Umino, obviously the dumb baby face, is like, sure, I just got jumped and bloodied and beaten, but I got a fighting spirit. So,
but ring the bell.
yeah. New ref, ring the bell. And they go on to have the actual official match was 8 minutes and 48 seconds, and thought it was a very good action there. Umino showed a lot of fire, and this was a great situation for Umino to actually get cheered. The Korakuen crowd was really behind him and booing Gabe Kidd and wanting to see Umino, get rid of this, AEW scum out of the arena. But unfortunately, Gabe did. He feigned the shoulder injury, which gave him enough opening to hit a lariat, hit the pile drivers, and hit the Death Rider on Umino to put him away and to capture the title.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, we sort of saw it coming, right? We saw, why else do you book this match, right? Besides to do a title change, which probably for a couple of reasons. You get the title off of Umino, which makes him a little more of a threat in the G1. Ironically, right? When you come in without a title, you're actually more of a threat to win the tournament. And somehow this global title just lives in Gabe Kidd's orbit right now. So it was always going to come back his way. But Gabe and Umino have some history, both in front of and behind the cameras, from what I recall, or from the rumors that I recall, right? Yeah. So they haven't been playing into that quite as much as they did the last time they were sort of interacting a lot. But here we are, right? I mean, Gabe wins. Shota doesn't have a title going into the G1, so now Shota's got a redemption story. They are in the same block. That's I'm pretty sure that's correct. As I look at my, they're in the same block, so they're going to have another interaction there. So it could all just circle back to a little trilogy. It's sort of hard to say where it goes, but overall the match was way more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Right? It was a big angle. There was a lot of angling, right, as opposed to it being a bell to bell situation. But it was engaging, and it was. There was a lot to take in, and I think Gabe established himself as a threat, a little less than talking head. I'm a madman, like someone pulling the string, the Woody, the Woody string. Yeah, I'm a madman. It's like, yeah, I've heard that. So he's got a little more killer instinct, and I sort of hope that that's his vibe coming into the G1, and even if that means it costs him some matches, right? Like, I think that'd be an interesting way for him. He could be that. Who'd they do that with? Fale and Tamatonga in 18, right? That's exactly what I was thinking. He could do that type of thing, even if not every night. He could do that type of character work in a way that's a little less egregious, a little less like you want to just completely ignore it. So it's a possibility. I don't know that that's the direction that they'll go, but now they've opened up that door. So, and I think that could be interesting.
Right, and he can play the whole, I want to ruin the G1. I want to continue to make New Japan fans mad. I'm here to destroy New Japan from the Death Riders, blah blah. So that whole angle is opened up now. I feel like Gabe, just being Gabe, is probably going to want to still have a good G1 in ring.
Absolutely.
So I mean, there probably will be shenanigans and cheating, and we'll probably continue to see him antagonize Tanahashi if he's at ringside like he did in this matchup.
Man, more than antagonize.
Yeah, he
he slapped him.
Yeah. I was just hoping, Tanahashi would just give him, one quick shote, that last bit of fighting spirit left. But he cut the hair. He's lost all power. And Gabe was slapping that man around throughout this matchup here and spitting in his face, all that stuff. So yeah, we'll see if that story plays out more in G1 as well. But yeah, Gabe is now global champion. I think he has a more intriguing story going into G1, and they've also, something we talked about last week, the whole, is he a Death Rider? Is he part of the Dogs? What's the deal? They've been trying to tie that up in AEW. The Dogs are officially in alliance with the Death Riders, and they're feuding with the Bang Bang Gang, and part of that whole Jay White, David Finlay story. And Gabe has come out and said, he's a member of both, and so there's some kind of continuity there.
Yes, clean. It's cleaner. I wouldn't call it clean, but yeah, we got. They're making some sense of it, which is good. It's good.
Then we had a question from MJ. Says Shota and Gabe had a ton of heat today. Do you think Shota losing today comes out hotter than he already was, regardless of your slotting of him in the G1?
I don't personally feel that way. I don't think it necessarily changed anything, but I said it last week. I really liked him with that white belt. I liked what it meant for the global title. I wanted to establish that global title as a title that guys who, work full time in New Japan could hold, and it could mean something. But it turns out that it was, sort of as we had thought it might be. It was sort of a transitional thing to get it back to sort of the foreigner. I personally am a little cooler on Shota, though I feel like his chances to win the G1 are higher. So it's sort of this, there's sort of a dichotomy there, but I'm lower on him in that lane than I am of him holding the global title. I was more interested in that than him winning the G1.
Yeah, and like you said, I definitely think his chances of potentially winning G1 going far in that tournament, increases. As far as whether or not he's hot or coming out of it, I feel like for the Korakuen crowd, I feel like he is, because obviously the Korakuen crowd, they can be a very smarky crowd, and they either like underdogs or they like sometimes the person that they're not supposed to like. And Gabe did initially get cheers when he's walking through the crowd, and obviously the crowd, they know Gabe's story, and despite him going to AEW, I still think there are fans that want to cheer him and want to see him succeed in New Japan. And so I feel like you got that with his initial entrance, but then throughout the match, I feel like Gabe did a great job of getting the heat on him and making Umino look like a sympathetic babyface. And I feel like that crowd, I was really fired up for Umino, and he's bleeding and he's fighting back. I thought that was a great visual and just great reaction for him. Now, if they can kind of capture that energy throughout the G1, that would be great. But also, different towns, different cities, prefectures kind of react differently. And so we'll see if he does kind of gain any kind of momentum from this loss here. But I feel like, if they did a rematch in Korakuen, I feel like the crowd would be like eating it up and wanting Umino to get that revenge.
Where is there... We'll talk about it later. I was going to say, where is their G1 match?
Yeah.
Because that's curious. Yeah, I agree with everything that you're saying. Umino's he's a strange case in New Japan too, because he's probably the biggest star. We talked about this last week too. He's the biggest star he's the biggest star of the Reiwa guys in the US.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly Tsuji is that in Japan. So Amino sort of, we know that the fan base is not all in on him because they would have told us differently headed into what was that, Wrestle Kingdom, the last one, prior to this one. Yeah. So he's just, it's so fascinating to watch him. I think things have steadied, like the boat's not so rocky anymore. But I still have a tough time placing him and his reception.
Yeah, it's hard. I feel like it just really depends on who he's in there with and what city he's in. Because he can be in Corkin and get super cheered, or he can be in Osaka in there with Drill Maloney and he's gonna get booed.
Right. It's who knows? Yeah.
Next set of questions here from Les Commission 7252 says the plan now has to be Shota wins G1 or defends global title against Moxley now, right? It has to be clear after that today. It's a lock that he has 2 paths to the Dome with 2 important matches.
Yes, I think that's true. But again, the Dome, the G1 win might not mean the Dome, right?
Right, yeah.
We've got 2 years in a row now where the G1 winner took their title match at Ryogoku. So in October. So that's notable. Obviously, that's notable because I think a lot of people are still attaching the G1 win to Tokyo Dome, and we just don't know, right? I think if they're gonna go back to it, and Tsuji being the champion gives us better chance of going back to that because his identity is sort of tied up in going back to the way things were when things were really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a chance that a guy like Tsuji could be like, no, you won the G1, we're going to the Tokyo Dome, and we're doing this thing.
Right, yeah. Defend your briefcase all fall, and I'll see you in January.
Right. Do whatever you want between whatever, late August and January 4th, but I'll see you January 4th. And, I think Tsuji's the guy that would do that. Or they could at least use that identity to get there.
Yeah.
So I don't know that those have to be different things, right? I think something's happening with Amino and Moxley, clearly.
Yeah.
And it feels like that would be Tokyo Dome. Like that would be great. Like I would have no reason to, and I don't think that's title match, right? I don't think that's main event.
Yeah.
I guess it could be, but that doesn't feel like a modern New Japan, like top of the card main event.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it. I don't know. I was thinking more the global title match kind of makes sense, especially as Moxley was in that first ever global title match and it's kind of been around that U.S. title picture as well. And so if they wanted to do it for a title, that would make more sense. But, I mean, I kind of miss a day of just kind of special grudge matches at Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah. So that could be it. Or, I mean, maybe King of Pro Wrestling, it's Umino defending the briefcase against Moxley. And that's his last big, Death Rider test. It's like if you beat Mox and you're ready for the dome.
Yeah. Yeah. I looked it up. The Gabe match it's on night 13, August 8th in Kanagawa. So we're not looking at a featured event here. And, a lot of the times those matches, that's probably the main event on that night. Though I'm looking at the other matches now. But a lot of the times when they bury a match like that on a less featured event, right? That means they're going to go back to it again, either in the knockouts or shortly after. So this could be a chance for Umino to win and get a global shot, and then get back in the global picture if he doesn't win the G1.
Yeah.
That feels to me like what's what's happening. And then you get Moxley in the picture, because then, the Gabe thing's over, right? You can put that to bed, and you can bring Moxley in as the kind of final boss.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't think Umino's winning the G1.
So yeah,
it's just he's got something else to do. That seems fine.
Yeah. Other question is Gabe the most confusing wrestler today? Who says he loves New Japan, hates the company, an AEW guy, a War Dog, and a Death Rider at the same time, and now steals Tetsuya Naito's gimmick of throwing around belts.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, just trying to smash the global title. Yes, he is. And he has been for a little while, really since January 6th, 2024. Was that 4?
Yeah.
Right after that January 5th match with Kenny, where he had everyone in a fury, and then, it was all downhill from there. And, I think now he's settled into, and maybe, and it's probably via his association with AEW, sort of keeping him in check with their storylines.
Mm-hmm.
We know that when AEW stories are being prioritized, things run a little bit cleaner, even if they're frustrating on the New Japan side. But they don't like cross streams the way that, if something's happening in New Japan, 70-30, whether or not it's going to be, followed and respected elsewhere. So, and we saw a lot of that with Gabe, and obviously that's part of how we ended up where we ended up with him.
Yeah. We talked about how confusing can kind of be what his character is and the motivations, but yeah, I feel like he's kind of settled in, like you mentioned, into the role that he's going to be in for a while. And also I think down the road, there's always a, potential babyface turn. And, if he decides to come back to New Japan full time, or he might still be dual contracted, I don't know. I think there's room to play there, but I think he's he's kind of in his role right now.
Yes. It's unfortunate that he can't work in America.
Yeah.
Because, but I guess the timing's okay, because most of his next month or so is going to be month and a half is going to be spent during the G1 anyway.
Yeah. Next question from Def Triangle 720. Do you think it's a mistake from New Japan to run Gabe versus Shota twice in the span of 2 months? They will have their match tomorrow and then again in the G1 so close to one another. So I'll see this question coming in before this Corkin show.
I think we're in for some sort of trilogy, a really quick trilogy here, right? So you've got this title match. Clearly they bounced the title off of Umino. Could be a red herring, could be clearing him up to win the G1 so they don't have another double gold situation. Thank goodness. And, again, this August 8th in Kanagawa is not exactly, prime time G1 viewing, right? We're not talking Corkin or first couple of nights or even, tail end of the tournament. I mean, we're really in sort of the dog days at that point. I don't doubt that match will be good and meaningful. I don't know that it's necessarily going to be the thing that we have to remember about either of their tournaments, though. So I think that's it's curious placement to me.
Yeah. And I think, too, we got to remember that I don't know if this whole Gabe Umino feud was even the plan at this point, because Gabe was injured. I think clearly Gabe would have been global champion majority of the year. He kind of would have been in that Andrade spot, but we don't know if this would have still happened if everything that went the way it should have went and Gabe didn't get injured, and this is just kind of a new feud to kind of throw in because of where things landed.
Right, but it works. It works big picture with all the Death Rider stuff and Umino and Moxley and all that. So it's interesting in that way. If it's a happy accident, then they're doing a great job with it on sort of on both sides of everything. So we'll see. It certainly adds some intrigue to both of their tournaments.
Yeah.
And both of their paths forward, really.
Yeah, adds a lot of juice to both of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that takes us to the main event, IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. We have the champion Yo successfully defend and defeat Francesco Akira in 26 minutes and 38 seconds. Chris, what do you think about this main event?
It was... Every Yo match is just a little too long for me. I just it's just a little, and I'm not even talking like, oh my God, but like every Yo, major match reminds me of 2021. And so I'm like triggered by the year 2021 in New Japan, because like every match was it just went forever.
Yeah.
And just not even like by feeling, but by like my stopwatch, right? Like they were literally, the matches were long, and Yo was featured in that time with New Japan as well. Mm-hmm. So 26-38, I was getting the contest ready during this match. So, take everything I said with a grain of salt, because I knew I could go forward, because I knew who was going in. But I kept thinking the match had to be over soon, and it just sort of wasn't. And it wasn't a bad match by any means. It wasn't bad. I think Akira is fantastic. I think I don't mind Yo. I don't hunt for Yo matches, but I don't mind Yo. But I just kept feeling like you could have taken 8 minutes off of this match and it probably would have hit a better peak for me specifically. Ultimately, though, the match was well done. I think Yo is a fine junior champion. I still want to see Akira win the title.
Yeah.
Right. But again, I don't think now is the right time to do that, because it's like, well, he wins the title and then they forget about the juniors for, up towards 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really want that to be the moment for him. So, with all that said, I think it was probably the right booking decision. But I wish I could have saved 8 to 10 minutes off the match. But Yo's matches, Yo just does long singles matches. It's just part of what he does.
Yeah.
Because he's got a lot to get in. He's got a lot of the man's got a lot of priorities, right?
Well, he's trying to be like Okada, right? He's doing
seems that way.
Doing rainmakers and stuff. He wants to have these long main events. But yeah, I thought the match was very good. There was also some like Yo shenanigans and antics towards the beginning half of the match where, yeah, maybe if you had cut some of that stuff out, like you mentioned, and kind of made the match tighter, it could have been an even better match. But ultimately, I thought it was very good work. I liked Akira. He had some Tajiri-inspired gear that looked pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I kind of had a feeling, though, that he was losing because he did come out with just a T-shirt and not his, like, fancy ring jacket. I'm like, if this man was winning the belt, like, yeah, he would have the full-on entrance gear, not just the T-shirt. But he did have the cool Tajiri pants, so, but... and all United Empire was out there in their black suits cornering him. But yeah, I thought it looked very good. There were several spots here where I thought Akira was going to win. There was a great spot where he had Yo trapped in the ground tarantula, like dead in the center, and Red Shoes was doing that tease, like he's going to like call for the bell, but then Yo would start moving again. And then there was the double fireball knee spots where it seemed like Akira was going to get the win, and then he just could not able to hit the crown fire, and Yo was able to hit the direct drive and put him away and get the win. So Yo is V1 and will go into the summer as a junior champion. And as much as I wanted Akira to win, like you said, it's probably not the best time for him to get that crowning moment. And hopefully we'll see him get another shot soon and on a big show, and he can finally get that big win.
Yeah, and maybe as either a babyface or a face leaning. You always want to see guys get their first title win in more of a face capacity, but I don't know. I don't see a turn in his very near future.
Yeah. And we have a question from Les Commission 7252. Says the global title might not be safe at the moment, but are the Keeping It Strong style guys and Chris happy that the show ended in a positive light with Yo retaining the Junior Heavyweight Championship? Or Weirdo reign supreme with no worries?
I just don't have strong feelings about Yo. I liked the idea of like, yeah, okay, he finally won a title match, but then he couldn't defend.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. If you give me the pencil, that's what I'm doing. But but so be it. Here he is. Here we are.
Yeah.
The junior division's so weird. There's so much potential there, but it's so strangely booked and prioritized that it's really hard to put a lot of weight into it. I see why this match headlined or was the main event as opposed to Gabe and Shota, even though Gabe and Shota is the second level, heavyweight title. But, just based on the stories that they were going to tell and how they want to leave people. Plus when the matches were booked, right? People at least some people bought tickets because of the Yo and Akira match. I don't know that, there was much space to sell more tickets when the Gabe and Shota match was added. So I think they gave the people what they bought. So, I don't know. I guess it's fine.
Yeah, I think overall it was great card positioning that we talked about last week. It kind of helps elevate the junior title and see it as, on the level as a global title. So I think that's good. I do not claim Yo as my weirdo. So I don't care about him ending the show on a good note for the fans. Like I said, it's going to work out with him winning for right now. But yeah, I would have been just as happy if Akira had nailed the crown on fire and pinned him and would have been the champion.
Totally.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And at least that's something fresh. I mean, Yo as a champion is also fresh, but he's Yo.
He himself is not.
He himself is not fresh.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was the road to G1 Climax 36 Night 6. And that leads into tomorrow's Corkin, Tuesday, July 7th. This is Tiger Mask's retirement match is the official name of the show. And the last I checked, there has not been anything else added to the card besides his 2 matches. I'm sure they will add more stuff, but when I check,
that's coming.
Yeah. But also
I'd imagine that'll come in, as we're signing off.
Oh yeah,
be my bet.
That always happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Super ideal.
But also the 2 highlights here. So Tiger Mask is having 2 5-minute exhibition matches. So his first exhibition will be against Dynamite Kid, and the second one will be against Black Tiger 4, which is Rocky Romero, who'll be busting up the Black Tiger gimmick for this evening to take on Tiger Mask. So yeah, it's going to be Tiger Mask's farewell here.
Yeah, and I think those are neat send-off matches. I think. And both of them are 5-minute time limits. So we're not talking, we're not going too deep here. So, yeah, I mean, bye Tiger Mask. It's time to go, I guess. But I mean, we've talked about it a lot. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't do, they don't seem to be doing anything with handing over the mask. Right. Which is, that is a little bit disappointing. I think it's a neat gimmick. It's been around for a very long time. I would like to see it continue, but it doesn't seem like that's the path we're taking.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe after the last match, the retirement ceremony, maybe he cuts a speech and says something, or maybe down the line when somebody comes back from excursion, maybe there's something at play. But
sure.
Yeah, it would have been cool to kind of have that already established going into this, and maybe even like a tag match with him and the new Tiger Mask could have been a cool thing. But
or at least tease something, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
But it still
feels like a missed opportunity. But maybe it's just time to let it simmer for a little while until someone maybe comes back in that capacity.
Yeah. But yeah, 2 cool options here for his send-off, and hopefully this opens the door for Dynamite Kid to make some more New Japan appearances, because I've enjoyed seeing him in his few AEW appearances. He's looked really good, and get him in a Super Junior and kind of freshen up the junior division with somebody like him, I think could be really cool. And always good to see Rocky in a New Japan ring as well. So it should be fun 10 minutes here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm into it. I will watch.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to take us now into what people came here for, the G1 Climax 36 preview. So first, we've got to plug the annual Sport of Pro Wrestling contest. So Chris, go ahead and plug that contest, let people know how they can enter this thing.
Yeah, we've got the best round robin contest you can make. It is at g1.sportofprowrestling.com. It is fully interactive. You pick every night, every match, and your block table will reorganize itself so that it's in the order that you're looking at that night. So you can sort of build the arc of your own tournament. That's like the best feature, and it's an awesome feature that we've opened up. What we call the scenario builder as well. So if you just want to go in and play around and not enter the contest, you can also just do that and just go to the scenario builder and just like plug through the tournament. And as the tournament goes on, we load the real results into that. So you can sort of see what wrestlers need to do on their way out. But yeah, ultimately you go to g1.sportofprowrestling.com. You enter your picks, you pick all the way through the tournament matches or the knockout stage and the finals. And then once you're all done and you save it, you're good to go. You're in the contest. So, it all works together. It's exquisitely made, in collaboration with my partner at Sport of Pro Wrestling, Jeremy Sexton. He's sort of a wizard with all this stuff. It's beautiful. It's really easy to use. You could certainly put in your picks in, 10 minutes, right? So it's very easy, very quick, very fun to use. And you can change your picks, with your account, all the way up to the first bell of the first night of the G1, which is, in this year's scenario, that is a lot sooner than normal, right? Normally we have, say, 2.5 weeks, between when we launch this contest and when it goes, when we have to lock it down because the tournament has begun. The G1 is starting a week early this year, right? It's usually that 17th, 18th ish
right,
of
essentially
July.
Night 2 this year would have been Night 1 normally.
Night 1, right. But they're coming to America, so they obviously want to do that on a weekend. So that's a week earlier. Plus, we didn't really lock down the field until this morning, right? So and we're not totally out of range for when we normally would lock down the field, but I think they waited for Forbidden Door, and I think we would have gotten an extra week that way too. So we've got like 5 days. So if you're hearing this, it's a great experience on mobile. So it's a great experience on a desktop. If you go to g1.sportofprowrestling.com, get in on the fun. I like to provide the data points for the picks of each match with my stats and info as I send those to the broadcast team, as I post them on social media and Discords and things of the sort. So what you give me, I can then use to kind of, in a way that gambling sort of has overtaken watching regular sports. We're doing a little bit, a small version of that here by using, your picks to kind of give odds for the tournament. So yeah, it's really a beautiful thing. It's our third year using this particular build of the tournament, and it has only gotten better since we've put it together. So we're really proud of it. We really want people to go and experience it. So g1.sportofprowrestling.com and get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it since you guys have switched to this format, how great and easy it is to use. I was on there earlier today, and I love that I was able to just log in with my same login from last year. So that's a super easy user experience. You log right in, your same username as last year, and I was able to kind of go in and start making my picks. And yeah, super easy. I love the stats. The head-to-head is great when you do the little drop down there, because that oftentimes plays into who potentially could win, and then their G1 history, their singles record for the year, and then as you make your picks, the table builds, and it's a super fun experience. So if you haven't done it before or you're listening to it now, yeah, hop on there, log in, and make your picks.
I agree, and I'm going to talk about it as we go.
Nice. Well, let's start our preview here in the A block, and let's start with the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, the Gene Blast, Yota Tsuji. 4th entry, 4th consecutive. He was a finalist in 2024. Chris, how you feeling about Yota Tsuji's G1 36?
I mean, you've got to figure he's going to be a factor. He is currently the champion, right? So but in turn, that also works against him going any further than maybe getting into that knockout stage. And the knockout stage is a little light this year, right? I guess we should talk a little bit about the format, right? Mm-hmm. It's round robin, right? So each block has 10 wrestlers in it. Everyone wrestles each other, so 9 matches. And then the top 2 from each block advance to the knockout stage. And this year, the knockouts are mixed. So it's A1 versus B2 and B1 versus A2. And then you've got, a night of semifinals, and the winners of those go to the finals. So with all that said, Tsuji could be, A1 or A2 and then get knocked out in the semis and maybe not go to the final, right? I never anticipate the top champion in New Japan going to the G1 final. Right. It takes a little of the oomph out of it. We're also, though, waiting for a champion. It's been a long time since a champion won the G1. I don't foresee this being that moment because you can't give Tsuji all the accolades from this entire generation, right? So that's a piece of the puzzle here too. So, strategically, I think you see Tsuji have a really strong tournament, but probably not to the point where he's in a final.
Yeah, I think, Tsuji is a heavy favorite, I would think, to go into the semifinals. And he's somebody that I have kind of penciled in as I've been going through as somebody, I think is going to get in. But my only problem with that is it's a little chalk. It's like, yes, he's a champion. So, and we've seen in previous years that the champion usually does end up in one of the semifinal spots or one of the playoff spots. And so that's kind of expected. And he's been in the semifinals/finals pretty much the last, 3 or 4 years. So as great as it is for him to kind of be in those spots, it is kind of getting a little bit repetitive. I'd like to see, some fresh faces get into the semifinal in that arena there. But also with the way he's positioned, you would think that, he's got to be potentially one of those A2s. I think there is a situation where you could do something where, the top 3 people have 12. He loses out on a tiebreaker to the other 2 guys, and he can still end with 12, but then he's not going through. I think we saw something similar to that with Naito a couple of years ago, where he was a champion and he got knocked out, but still had a good point total. So still strong as champion, but didn't get through. But also with Tsuji being the champion, I think I'd want to see him have a strong G1. Like, I would love for him to go 7-2 and have 14 points, or that traditional 6-3 and have a really strong outing there. So it's very hard because I love Tsuji. I want to see him succeed. I want to see him go forward, but it's like he's kind of, like you mentioned, we can't give him all the accolades. He's kind of been that only Royal guy that's showing up in these finals, showing up in these semifinals. It's like, I would love for somebody else to get a crack and kind of get some fresh semifinal matchups here.
Yeah, but this then also is not the block for that, right? Yeah. I mean, there's no one else from that generation that I imagine they're going to feature. I mean, Takeshita's here, right? And I guess we'll talk about him next. But who beats Tsuji? If we're going off of the tradition of when the world champion loses or the heavyweight champion loses in the G1, they then defend the title against them. The person they lost to at some point. Who's beating Tsuji? Who's beating Tsuji in this block? Who are his 2 or 3 losses? And I don't want it to be Takeshita, but as I'm looking at the list, he's one of the only people that makes any sense.
Yeah, and also that's one of the big matches coming up on the opening night in Chicago.
Right.
Is that big Wrestle Kingdom rematch. So to me, that kind of screams, Takeshita is going to get the win back. So I do think that's going to be one of his losses. But yeah, there isn't a ton of guys here. Also, Tsuji's whole, I think, his story in this block is going to be wanting to beat former World Heavyweight Champion. So he does have Goto in there and Shingo and Sonata. So I kind of feel like he needs to beat all three of those guys. I don't see Oiwa beating him or Ito Ice or Okan. He has Jake Lee on the last night, which to me that
we already did that. We already did that,
but that screams like I'm going to spoil your G1.
Yeah,
I'm either going to stop you from being first, or I'm going to stop you from going in to the semifinals altogether.
Yep. Yeah, there's something there. That would be annoying.
Yeah.
It's also a guy that you can ignore a win depending on how it plays out, right? Mm-hmm. Anytime, maybe not anytime, but like people used to be like, well, doesn't Yano get a title shot now? It's like, well, Yano doesn't really like win matches.
Right.
He like wins. He threw the right, he threw the right color shell on his Mario Kart, and
he got lucky and got a blue shell.
Yeah, it's like that's not what he's there for. That's not what he's trying to do. So, and Jake Lee, I guess, could be also in that lane or sort of representing United Empire, and somehow you get United Empire involved. So, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting block for a guy like Tsuji, because I have a hard time finding a third loss for him.
Yeah,
that makes sense, right? I mean, you could see a Goto win, you could see Takeshita win. Tough pill to swallow on night one, but we love a night one upset. Yeah. So
we talked about Bolton feeling important earlier. I mean, if they want to kind of pull a switch on him and started to get him in more bigger programs, a win over Tsuji could be interesting there.
Yeah, I think I would love that. I don't. It's all hard to believe. They're very protective of Tsuji's booking. Mm-hmm. I've sort of started to recognize how protective they are. So it's hard for me to, pinpoint the couple of losses. So, and that's why I think I send him into the knockout stage. I almost pen him into the knockout stage and then figure he loses to someone in the B block in the semis.
Yeah, that's probably your safest bet and pick is either spot A1 or A2, have him go through there. Despite it kind of being a safe pick, they're probably just going to do that. Like sometimes New Japan just does stuff that makes sense, even if it might seem boring, and that just seems to make the most sense. Is you have the champion go through and be in one of the four spots. Yeah,
and it's. They did it with Zach. It's sort of what they do.
Yeah. Is there one Tsuji match that you have circled going into tournament? Here?
Takeshita on night one, that's a big deal. I assume that's the main event. I'd be surprised if anything else was the main. And that's why it's hard for me to say like, oh, Takeshita wins in the US in the main event. Like that doesn't feel. If that match is not the main event, then I think Takeshita's totally winning. If it is the main event, I'm less certain of that.
What makes you less certain if it being the main event?
I just don't think you send a New Japan crowd home with Tsuji losing. I think you have him do the promo.
Well, I guess you have to. I wonder how much of the crowd is in an AEW or a New Japan crowd, or are they thinking it's the US? We're going to have some AEW fans in the building.
Well, and there will certainly be some AEW fans in the building, but it's also like it's the first time New Japan is running this particular building, at least, but doing the G1 in the US. I mean, like that's since 2019. Obviously, that was a whole different world, right? When you're able to give Okada Tanahashi That's different, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know. I feel like they're leaning in so hard to establishing that Tsuji is the new ace ultimately. That it's hard for me to believe that they would have him eat the loss in a US building, in a main event. Now, if it's not the main event and he loses, and then what? I guess Umino and Zach, that would be the other option, right? That's on that card.
Yeah, that's on the, yeah.
I imagine that would be the other option for the main event. That's sort of the B block option. If that ends up being, top of the card, then I think my bet flip flops here. But is Takeshita winning an upset?
Right? Quote unquote, maybe he's beating the heavyweight champion. But yeah, I wouldn't really consider it an upset. I mean, these guys have wrestled several times before. I just think it's Takeshita getting his win back. And it's a big rematch, but it wouldn't necessarily be this huge monumental night one upset that we kind of look for.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be an interesting tournament from Tsuji. I think Tsuji's one of those guys now that I feel like we know what we have. So I'm not enthralled by watching him, especially with this particular block of guys. I think most of it's going to be pretty chalk. Good, like chalk in the good way, but the booking is going to be chalk.
Yeah. Another match that I would have circle is the Shingo Takagi match.
Obviously. Yeah, I knew what you were going to say.
Yeah, it's always great when you get these, quote unquote LIJ versus LIJ, unbound versus each other. And, that Naito Shingo match a couple of G1s ago, the first time when they faced off in the G1 was like, oh, wow, that was awesome. Fireworks, great match. And I feel like that same kind of energy is there with Shingo and Tsuji. And I kind of feel like, also there's a part of Shingo that wants, he wants to be the world champion. He wants to kind of be the top dog. And so to have to face off against Tsuji, and it kind of seems like he's kind of taking a backseat to him, but this could be that one matchup where he kind of really, lets it all out there. So I'm intrigued by that matchup.
Yeah, and that's in Ota. The Tsuji Shingo match is in Ota City. So that's a good venue for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that'll be a meaningful one.
Well, let's talk about the next guy, the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita, with his third consecutive entry. He is currently the NJPW World TV Champion. He's also the International Champion over in AEW, and he was the 2025 winner of the tournament.
Does him being the television champion change anything for you?
I feel like it decreases his chances of winning it.
Yeah.
I don't think you send the TV champion to the finals. I don't think you have the TV champion win it. But I think him being TV champion and being the international champion, and also being an AEW guy, I think all those factors are going to help his booking. And I have very similar feelings about Takeshita that I do Tsuji, where like it kind of seems like it's the obvious chalk pick that you send both those guys through. You send Takeshita through, but again, you look back at the last couple semifinals, like Takeshita has kind of also been a guy that's kind of been in a semifinal mix since he's been here, won the tournament last year. So from the A block, if you're going with the safe picks, that's Tsuji and Takeshita, you're sending through two guys who have kind of been there often. It's not super exciting, even though both guys are great, and I love both guys, but it's just kind of like the boring option.
Yeah. It's chalk, right? But you've also got guys like Goto that you could heat up. Obviously, you could heat up Goto in this block. Shingo, and I think Bolton. They do always seem to like to throw like one dude into the knockouts that you didn't expect. Right? Like the one year is Hikuleo.
Yeah.
Hikuleo was a G1 knockout participant. So, don't rule it out, but it's a small path forward this year. It's only two from each block. It's not they've done 3. They've done various things with the knockout stage. So it's I'm in the same boat with Takeshita, but then he's TV champion. It's just like I don't really have a feel for him in New Japan right now. Last year I felt like, okay, like we're at the cusp of them doing something with their access to Takeshita, and they did, right? They did exactly what we thought they were going to do. And this year I don't have a feel for Takeshita in the same way, where I'm like, this is his slot in New Japan and it's growing or shrinking. I don't have any. I mean, he shows up and he works like the first match on big shows against someone random, usually in a TV title match. And that's his role with New Japan right now. So I guess the G1 could tell us something, or it could be sort of back to his first G1 where he's just like the dude that's there to prop up the rest of the block with really great wrestling matches. And maybe he does lose more than we think he's going to. Somehow they storyline that into AEW, etc. Because his booking has not been egregious by any means. It's been less. It looks less controlled by the AEW side than like who he wrestles and things like that. Like, I don't think Tony Khan is asking the New Japan booking team to book Takeshita versus Chase Owens, right? Like, I just can't believe that would be something they would request. Certainly something that if they had the chance to, they'd be like, don't you have someone of more prominence that you could put in there with him? So, I do feel like he's sort of on his own in the New Japan world, and it's just a respect thing. So, but maybe he goes 5-4. Maybe that's the story.
Yeah. Or kind of, I mentioned with Tsuji, I think you could do the whole three-way tie at 12, and one of those two guys just doesn't have the right tiebreakers, and so you can still give Takeshita 12 points, and then maybe it's Bolton or somebody slides through from beating them with the tiebreakers, and then they both they had a great tournament, but then you can get somebody fresh in the semifinals. Right. This feels like the block that's going to be top heavy with like 3 or 4 guys. And I know you mentioned the Tsuji Takeshita match. Is there another matchup for Takeshita that you would have circled here?
Certainly Bolton, Oiwa. I think Oiwa's a ringer for me. I think often Oiwa, he doesn't always hit, but when he hits, it's hard, right? It's big. So I'm hopeful for that match. I think that'll be a really good one.
Yeah, also, you mentioned the Bolton match. They've had a series of matches that all rocked, especially their new beginning in Osaka matchup was really great. I think Goto's another one you got to circle. 2 years ago in G1, that was one of our strong style Fight of the Year contenders. So also, very hard hitting, never style matchup there. So I think Takeshita obviously he's super talented and is going to have a lot of great dance partners in this block.
Yeah, he's got Oiwa on the last night of A block.
Yeah, and to me, that screams potential upset. Like, you think he's going through, he gets hit with the grip, and then he gets knocked out. And
that sets up Oiwa, maybe, right? It's not always, especially with the secondary titles, it's not like, oh, this guy's getting a title shot, but it would set up Oiwa to get a title shot, which could be awesome. Yeah. A TV title shot. He would be a great TV title holder, too. Yeah, I think that would be the perfect mold for him. And he could have some really great, standout 15-minute matches with that thing. Right. Yeah, I'm very pro. I'm gonna just plug that into my pick'ems right now. Oiwa went on the last night. I'm gonna work backwards through A block. I have a feeling. Yeah, I got halfway through and was like, I probably should have worked backwards. I went. I ended up like going through it like 2 or 3 times, like trying to get the right scenario. But I like that Oiwa upsetting Takeshita and keeping him out of the semifinals. I like that. Yeah, that's a good idea. I think they should do it. Next up, we got Hiroki Goto with his 8th entry. He missed the tournament last year. 18th.
Yeah, what did? Yeah.
You said 8th.
Oh,
yeah,
18th entry.
18th.
Yeah, I missed the tournament last year. He was the 2008 G1 Climax winner.
Can't rule him out. He's a recent champion. He missed the tournament last year due to injury and, I guess potentially filming a movie, or both, potentially both, right? You don't have to be quite in working shape to go film a movie. So I don't know. You gotta figure there's going to be some veteran hand that goes through in one of the blocks. Unless they're really, I would love to see four Reiwa or new generation guys go through to the semis and just call it a day, but that's just not usually how things go. So Goto is one of those guys. Goto and Shingo are sort of the candidates in this block to say, to send someone like that through. And Goto's the best guy, one of the best guys to have in a tournament like this, because he can beat anyone and he can lose to anyone. So he could end up 4-5. He could end up 7-2. I don't know. And there are some folks, I've already seen some screenshots of some brackets and of some blocks that are really leaning into the opportunity of let's get Goto back into the mix. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's at either side of the block, the top or the bottom.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed we missed out on what his G1 would have looked like last year, coming off of that great world title run. And would he have been positioned super high? Because I feel like now he's kind of back to what he was, where, like you said, where he can beat anybody, he can lose to anybody, but he just felt special last year, and it felt like they might have treated him with more reverence, and he's kind of just fallen back into the normal Goto role, which is great for him. But I would have liked to see what a world champion / former world champion fresh off the run Goto G1 would have looked like.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all missed out on something last year with that.
Yeah. But I think you'll have a solid tournament. I wouldn't have him as a heavy favorite to go through, especially if only 2 spots there. But if you did want to send, a veteran guy through, he'd probably make the most sense, especially since being, that strong world title run the previous year. So matchups for Goto, who would you got circled for Goto here?
Oiwa. I'm excited for that. The usual suspects with this block, really. I think I'm going to end up going back to all the same guys. I think the Takeshita match is extra interesting, just because they sort of orbited each other last year too. I think those are sort of the two. And Yuto Ice. I think the Yuto Ice match is interesting too, because you've got Goto, who's clearly very old guard but still can go, and then Yuto Ice, who is the freshest of fresh, right? So I think that's an interesting singles match to see, and that's late in the tournament too. That's also on the last night. So maybe Ice knocks out Goto, maybe Goto knocks out Ice, or maybe it's just a great match. Right. So interesting.
Also, I really enjoy the Goto Tsuji matches. I really like their the New Japan Cup final match, and I think they have a pretty good chemistry there. And also too, there's kind of this weird kind of ideology. What's the word I'm looking for? Ideology between them, where on Twitter, I'll see Tsuji's very vocal about going against things that the company's doing, things that Bushiroad's doing. Goto's been kind of the company man and has been defending, and responding to tweets that Tsuji sends out about anything negative from the company. So there's also this kind of weird kind of, Goto respects the company and Tsuji wants to, break free, and kind of stand up for the wrestlers kind of a thing. So that's also interesting too.
Sure. Yeah.
So up next, we got Bolton Oleg with his 3rd consecutive entry, and he's currently the NJPW Strong Open Weight Champion. He had his career best G1 last year when he went 5-4.
I would probably pencil him in to go 5-4 again. Just feel that he feels like a candidate for that level, but I would love if they went with him. And sent him through and gave him a chance, right? Everyone sort of gets to dip their toe in usually, and he hasn't really had that kind of premium spot in a tournament just yet. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think this is the right block for Bolton.
Oh yeah,
right. I'm looking at right. You've got Tsuji, Goto, Shingo, Yuto Ice, Oiwa, Takeshita. Even Great Khan and Bolton, I think, is an interesting.
Yeah, there's some grappling list there. Yeah.
Yeah, just like some. Yeah, I mean, like if Great Khan puts in a little bit of effort and they put together something creative, I think that could be really great. So I think he has a chance to shine even if he's not winning matches, and I think that's I think he is positioned to succeed, and that I think is a positive.
Yeah, I feel like Bolton's a guy that anytime you give him the ball, he runs with it and scores a touchdown, knocks out the park, whatever sports analogy you want to use there. But I feel like he always succeeds when they give him a big spot. And you look back to some of those Takeshita matches, or even on the U.S. shows where he's facing off against Ishii and other guys. Like I feel like any kind of big moment he gets, he really succeeds and shines. And so yeah, I would love if they would. Yeah, give him an opportunity here and see what he can do in a semifinal spot. And like you mentioned, yeah, he has some great dance partners here that kind of fits his style of wrestling. And so, yeah, I think he's in a great block to shine and succeed, and it would be awesome to kind of follow that up with him going through to semifinals.
Yeah, I agree.
And, I mean, if you think about it, let's say you send him and Tsuji through, you got to think that the A guy that's going to win is going to be him. If you did that, the Tsuji wouldn't. So you would have Bolton going into potentially the finals.
He'd be an interesting finalist.
Yeah.
He's an interesting guy to get that type of rub. So I don't know. I don't rule that out. I do think they want more from him. So I'm a little hopeful. I mean, like it's a little bit of a cope, right? But I don't think it's out of the question.
Yeah, especially in this block, it's like if you don't want to send Tsuji or Takeshita through to the finals, like I feel like, especially for young guys, like I feel like to them it might be too early for Yuto Ice, but out of the other, I mean, he's the only really other young guy in this block that would make sense to give a shine to. Yeah.
Yeah, because like Oiwa's not ready. They haven't built up Oiwa in that way. Yeah, I mean he's sort of next up. Tap on the shoulder, at least put him in a big spot. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. And we've kind of touched on, some great matches for him, but yeah, the Takeshita matches probably would be my number one matchup to watch for him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bruisers, but like not like beefy boy bruisers, just like hard hitting. There's a lot of strong style in this block, and I think anyone that sort of identifies that way is going to be a good opponent for Bolton.
Yeah, this is a very never coded block.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
except it doesn't have the actual never champion in it,
yeah.
Which is sort of unfortunate if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So up next, we got the Rampage Dragon, Shingo Takagi, with his 8th consecutive. His career best, he was a playoff entrant in 2024.
I mean, what's left to say about this guy? He's one of the best in the business. I don't want him necessarily to transition into being sort of the Ishii of the time, but it might just be what's happening. He's the guy that he's going to give you some great performances, and maybe play spoiler towards the end, but he's not necessarily ever going to be featured like that again. But he's also one of the few veteran hands in this particular block that if they want that veteran hand to go through, he's a guy that could go through. So he could also surprise you by getting a bunch of wins, and all of a sudden on the last day you look at Shingo and you're like, oh, he's going through. So his last night here is against Sonata though, so that's not very exciting. In all likelihood, modern Sonata is not exciting.
Yeah,
there's just no way around that. So that doesn't bode well for his chances unless he runs away with the block ahead of that. But I don't foresee that being the booking. Yeah,
to me that screams like both guys are going in like 8 points of the night.
Yep.
Winner can get to 10, and Sonata's gonna screw over Shingo and get the better point total or something like that.
It's almost like these guys are playing for next year, like to stay out of next year's play-in matches.
Yeah,
right. They're the losers headed towards the bottom of the block, and the winner's going to be in that big mishmash of the middle.
Yeah, I feel like Shingo is very similar to Goto, and where he can beat anybody, lose to anybody, and still kind of end up fine. And yeah, unfortunately,
this man had a draw with Yujiro Takahashi a couple of years ago. I mean, they can book Shingo however they want in the G1.
Yeah,
that was the weirdest. That was so weird. That was because of Zack Sabre Jr. No, Naito's injury.
Mm-hmm.
The booking that year got all wacky. What year was that? 22, 23?
Something like, yeah.
But either way, they did that right with Shingo. Closer to the last time he was world champion, even. So, again, all that to say, just to prove your point that they can do, he will do anything, and they can do anything with him.
Yeah, and I wish Shingo. I feel like the time is just not right for him. I would have loved for him to get a G1 win under his belt, and kind of I feel like that's something that would be great for his kind of career and resume, and would look good. Be good for him, but I just kind of feel like they probably should have pulled the trigger on that sooner when he was in New Japan. Like now he's in that kind of aging veteran where we kind of want to see more of the young guns trying to get their G1 wins, and I think it would be kind of, I hate to say the word wasted, but at this point it's like, do we want to really hold back a potential Umino, Oiwa, Tsuji win to give Shingo that kind of gold crown that he should have gotten maybe a couple years ago?
Yeah, but you have to believe they're gonna. I don't know. Do you think they just stick with that generation forever now?
I mean, I think you kind of. Those should be your.
I would.
Yeah, that should be your anchors. I mean, I don't know. I'll say, New Japan's booking can be hit or miss sometimes with the young guys, but if I'm them, it's like, maybe I'll put a Goto and Shingo in the finals to help elevate those guys, but
right.
But mainly your new stories and your arcs should be, we should be seeing Tsuji Uemura finals and Umino Uemura finals and Oiwa and Umino finals. Like we should be kind of building that. So like 10 years from now, we're like, oh yeah, like Tsuji and Yuya, they have this great rivalry, and they had all these G1 finals and main events, and so I feel like we've got to establish the lore and rivalries for this new generation.
I agree. I'm just, I feel like at some point they're going to slide one of these guys back into the picture just to do it,
right?
Just to keep them viable, because I don't know. And I don't think this would be the time for that, but Shingo's a candidate to be the guy.
Yeah. And which, I mean, if it ends up being him, like, I can't fully complain with that. If they kind of mix it up a little bit to kind of a surprise, like out of nowhere, Shingo kind of gets his first, G1 win.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it ends up happening ever, but I don't know. Some people would feel good about it.
Yeah. But I think also that kind of just raises the prestige of the G1. It's like not everybody can win it. And as somebody as super talented as Shingo, who's, been world champion, as, final in Super Juniors, and, just had this great resume across Japanese wrestling, right. And even, look at some of his Dragon Gate USA stuff, some of the ROH stuff. Like, super great, Hall of Fame resume, and he can't win a G1. That kind of raises the level of the importance and prestige of it.
Totally. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I love that. I love the other side of prestige, right? Where that guy never did it. That's a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you've got like the Kota Ibushi side of prestige, where it's like, oh, he did it a bunch of times, and then fell off a cliff. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like it's. You look at the list, and you're just like, wait, what? Oh man, I do remember that. That was a crazy time.
Yeah. And again, we talked about this block being never coded, so a lot of great matchups here for Shingo. Again, like I mentioned earlier, the Tsuji Shingo match is kind of the one I'm locked in on for Shingo.
Yeah, I mean, same cast of characters here. I have no issue watching a Shingo match against Tsuji, Goto, Bolton, Yuto Ice again. And Yuto Ice's tournament's going to be really interesting. I mean, obviously he's coming up on the list here too, so I'll expand on that. But he's in the mix. Oiwa, they've had some good stuff before. Takeshita, and Shingo's a guy that can carry a guy like Jake Lee or Sonata or Great Khan. So like Shingo's gonna have a good G1 tournament. Like there's no doubt about that in my mind. But I don't have anything like, there's nothing that's super exciting that's like, whoa, that's finally happening, right? And we had a lot of that with Shingo in 19 and 20 and 21 even, like where we were really seeing like, oh, fine, like dream match, like legitimate dream match stuff with Shingo. And there's not much of that left because Shingo is a workhorse. He has just continued working. He's often near the top of the number of matches in New Japan every year. He sort of lives in that space where he shows up and works a lot of wrestlers. So we don't have anything super new here. Besides, I think the Yuto Ice singles match.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the silent gesture, Jake Lee, with his second entry in the G1. He missed last year's. His debut tournament was in 2024, where he had his career best of 4-5.
Yep. I gave him a chance.
Yeah.
I did. I gave him a chance. I was not a defender by any means. I knew, you saw where it was going when he came back in January. And we have descended into madness with this man.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like it. I do not like it, Jeremy. I just don't like it. Yeah. And I don't even think that makes me a hater. I just think it's such strange. He has had such a strange career where, I mean, this man has made more money because he was a good opponent for Kento Miyahara than anyone should ever have expected. And now he's got a stable role here in New Japan, and here he is in the G1. I gave him a chance when he came in, and I gave him a chance when he came back, and I am out of chances for Jake Lee. So I'm not excited for Jake Lee's A block. You haven't heard me mention him much in the, the first, five or six guys that I'm actually excited about. So yes.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about Jake Lee.
Yeah, I'm a similar boat as you. I tried to be open. Obviously, I heard everybody, the warnings of like, hey, this guy stinks. Don't give him a chance. But I was like, hey, you know what? Let me just see what he does. And I actually, I liked the presentation that he had coming back at Wrestle Kingdom and kind of what he had in the beginning half of the build to the Tsuji match. And then he kind of went into the whole black glove thing, and then the clown makeup and the clown mask and the monkey and the dancing. I'm like, all right,
I forgot about the monkey.
I'm out. And yeah, the matches have just not been great. I can't really say he's had a great match since really being in New Japan, and especially this United Empire run. just nothing compelling about him, and yeah, I mean he's a clown. He's just like a literal joke.
He's a clown. He's a clown. Why do I want to watch this?
Question here from or Immortality 777: has any other wrestler successfully failed upwards more than Jake Lee in Japan? Go and chase that big bag, Uncle Lee.
He's got to be he's on the list. That's for sure. He's certainly on that list. So.
Yeah. So I'm not really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do here. Unfortunately, like we mentioned, they just love, these companies love Jake Lee, and New Japan seems to love him. And he was, obviously, I feel like down cycled a little bit for the main event picture after losing to Tsuji. However, I still feel like he is a guy that you can't count out as being a player. I can see him being a guy where he's potentially ending this thing with 10 points. And I don't know. I feel like they're going to make him strong in this thing, and he's going to be that guy that beats your favorites and you're annoyed about it. But for whatever reason, they want to go with him.
Well, who comes out of this block stronger, Jake Lee or Great O'Khan? And I mean by points. Same question by match quality, I guess. But
I think it'll probably be Jake Lee. Just knowing the way they book O'Khan sometimes, he's a tag champion. I think
he went on a run once.
Yeah, that one time.
That one time.
But I think they want to open up the opportunity to have Jake Lee be a potential guy to challenge for things. Also, he already challenged Tsuji this year. Ugh. I mean, he could easily be a TV challenger for Takeshita, because also all of Takeshita's challenges have sucked this year, so why not go ahead and add Jake Lee to that? Who else is in this block? I mean, he can challenge for the strong title, I guess.
Sure. he can have that.
But yeah, I feel like they're going to. I can see him at least being 5-4. I mean, I would book him lower than that, but I just know the way they think and the way they book. Like, I feel like you can't give him anything less than 8 points.
I'm fine with 8. Like, my over under with him is 8.5.
Yeah.
That's when I start to get upset, is when he gets to ultimately 10 then in that scenario.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't want to talk about Jake Lee anymore. I think I'm done talking about Jake Lee.
Yeah, because I don't have any matches that I'm looking forward to seeing him.
The cool thing about talking about Jake Lee the way that we're talking about him is no one gets upset by it.
Yeah.
Right? Like we can say all these things about pretty much anyone else, and someone's gonna be like, no, you're so wrong. Jake Lee, there's so few people, especially in our orbit at least. I can't speak for Japan. There's so few people that like are staunch Jake Lee defenders in a way where they're willing to like put their neck on it or put their reputation on it. So you can speak freely in the world of Jake Lee, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah. I guess for matches, I am interested to see what Takeshita could do with him. Like if Takeshita can pull a Kento Miyahara-esque.
He'd be the guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and obviously, for me, that the match I've got circled is that last night of A Block with Tsuji. I mean, that's the most meaningful match on his calendar, without a doubt.
Yeah. Which again, to me, screams, spoiler.
I hate it.
Scenario.
No, I hate it. I hate it.
Or it could just be, Tsuji has this guy's number. And
just gets after it. Yeah, that feels honest. It does feel more like that's what'll happen. If I'm gonna click on Tsuji when I do my pick'ems here, because I think I don't see them putting the silent jester into and that's a joke based on what was printed on a poster.
Yeah.
Like what? But I just don't see them taking this particular gimmick of Jake Lee and putting it back into the title picture.
Yeah.
I've been wrong before though.
Well, let's talk about another guy that's not going to have an exciting tournament. The cold-blooded snake Sonata with his 11th entry, 11th consecutive. He was a finalist in 2020. Your first G1 preview. He was
happen.
He was a finalist.
Yeah. Oh, how things change.
How the turntables have turned.
How the tables turned. I don't see much happening here. He'll sneak a couple wins. I think that we're gonna see Sonata turn into Toriano.
Yes.
During this tournament. Like, I think that's what I'm keeping an eye out for. Like, or a Toriano style tournament. I think that's the best way to utilize him right now. I think it's pretty clear that he still doesn't have full mobility of all of his extremities, his arm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't really come back with any sort of major change when he came back recently. Like, he's just sort of still Sonata. So, yeah, I think he'll be closer to the bottom of the block. I'm hopeful that he is tied for the bottom of the block and we get to see him in the play-ins next year and getting knocked out. if he, assuming when Sonata was healthy, he was a fine wrestler. He was sort of the Yo of heavyweights, right? He's just like good, could turn it up. Certain crowds got really into him. That's probably still true, but he's mostly sort of like takes himself too seriously comedy guy now.
Yeah. And
right?
So I feel like he's a guy that historically might have gotten like 10 points in the past, where I feel like now if you gave him 6 points this year, like I feel like that would be perfectly fine. That's realistic.
Totally.
Yeah. And again, he's a guy where I don't really have a ton of, matches circled for him. We saw him against Takeshita this year, and that wasn't great. And I mean, if this was like 2019 Sonata, I mean, it's not a Goto match, could have been good. It's not a Shingo match, could have been good, but out of all this, 2026 Sonata with this lineup, which it's a great lineup to be in, I just think it's going to be, like you mentioned, the, low blow, guitar shot, all that shenanigan stuff, and we're not going to get any semblance of, like, Sonata that can actually go, because he can't.
He just can't. But here he is, 11th consecutive.
We could have had Tai Chi, but it's okay.
Yeah, man, if that was the trade, God, look at this block with Tai Chi. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Dude, I would give me Hartley Jackson. Like,
I'm shocked Hartley wasn't in the play-ins.
Yeah, I don't know.
That felt like that would have been such an easy. He could have, he obviously could have lost too, but just in him, he would have had it would have been hot cork and crowd. Oh, would have been awesome.
Yeah. Well, another guy that's probably not going to have the most exciting tournament is the Great Okan of his 6th consecutive entry. He had a career best in 2024 as a playoff entrant.
He went on a run. Great Okan went on a run that year. And he was good. You don't get a lot out of him now anymore. Even in the tag title match when they won the titles, he was certainly the second most important member of his own tag team.
Right. And like the fourth most important.
And definitely, without a doubt, the fourth most important, or the fourth least important, the least important member in that match. And it wasn't because there was something fun or strategic about what he was doing. He just like disappeared for a while. And there's a lot of discussions in certain spaces about Great Okan and the amount of effort that he puts in. He's showy. He's a big personality. I get it. He's sort of in that same lane with Jake Lee, where it's like he can wrestle a match, a heavyweight G1 level match, but it's very low ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna get a lot out of it. But you're 90% of the time you're gonna get to a pretty high floor with him. He's gonna show up and have a functional pro wrestling match. So that's all I expect for him 9 times during this tournament. It's like functional pro wrestling matches. He's not very interesting.
Yeah. Which is a shame because as a young lion, like Josh and I loved Oka as a young lion. It seemed like he was gonna, take that Ishii role of kind of being that, big, heavy hitting dude that's gonna have these never style matches, and for whatever reason that just didn't happen, and he went with the whole, wacky personality kind of thing. And I think that he's a talented dude, but like you mentioned, the effort level is just not always there. I think he was gifted this block. He has a lot of guys that do give effort in this block. So I mean, he might be forced to put his working boots on every night for the most part. When he's in there with guys like Tsuji and Takeshita and Bolton and Shingo, like they might make him work, and he might actually have some good matches with those guys. But also he'll have to face Jake Lee and Sonata. I don't expect him to lead those guys to anything great. So,
God, that Sonata match is gonna die a death. When is that? I gotta find it. Where did they bury that, or did they put it on something important? No, we're getting closer. Where is it? No. Oh, did they? No.
Is it the last? No, it's not.
No. I'm working backwards. Osaka, Takeshita and Okan could be interesting. July 29th. That could be high effort Okan. Where is he? Is it night 2? It is night 2. Okay. So we'll get at that. Oh,
get out the way early.
so the first night in Japan in Hokkaido, that's a match that is happening. So yeah. Freaking lock in everyone. That'll probably be your first that may be your first G1 match on the card.
Yeah.
God, what a way to kick her off. I don't think that's it, folks.
Yeah.
Well,
and
yeah.
I think the only other intriguing thing with Okan also he's one half of the tag champs, 1/3 of the never 6-man champs. I know normally you don't always see a ton of wins that lead to tag title matches, but potentially, especially with somebody like Yuto Ice in the block and Oiwa in the block and some other tag team guys in this block, you could potentially set up some tag / never 6-man stuff in the fall with a win over Okan.
Sonata for the trios champions.
Yeah, get House of Torture back limits.
I could see that bouncing back to House of Torture.
Yikes!
Sonata does the belt thing at the end when they're done. Just call it a day, and then it's all booked. It's done. Yikes!
Well, let's get back to some exciting guys in this block. We got one half of the Knockout Brothers, Yuto Ice, making his debut entry, defeated Taichi in the play-ins, and here we go. We're going to see what a Yuto Ice G1 looks like.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for him to have a series of singles matches. I think this block really sets him up to have a relatively good run, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be able to put together matches with specifically like Sonata and Great Okan, right? Jake Lee, again, I think can put together some functional pro wrestling matches, and they're a little less gimmicky. I don't know. I guess we'll see by the end of this tournament. Maybe I'll eat those words. But yeah, I mean, Yuto, he's in the right block if they want him to be a star, and they want him to be a star. I mean, like they see it. It seems clear. It seemed clear with our conversation with Chris last week too, that they're really hoping he gets a big reaction in Chicago, and they really want to lean into him. maybe not necessarily as a single right now or immediately, but this could plant some seeds for a good singles run in the not too distant future. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for his whole run. I think we'll know a lot more about who Yuto Ice is, and where he stands with this roster by the end of this tournament. It's going to tell us a lot.
Yeah, and I think, from a in-ring perspective, I think he's set up to have a great tournament, like you mentioned. And again, very never-coded, hard-hitting block kept here. Like, he has a great lineup of opponents. I am curious, though, about the point total, because since coming back, yes, Knockout Brothers have been super dominant and have cleaned out the tag division and just recently lost the titles, but in a singles role, they haven't really done much with them in singles, and I feel like the few singles they've had since returning, they've lost. So do we finally see that transition of, oh yeah, he can actually be a singles guy, or are they still kind of viewing him and Oscar as these tag guys? And like, yeah, they're really great tag guys, but in a single scenario, like, they're going to lose more than they win.
It feels like that's what's at hand here. I think I would look at Yuto Ice and pencil him in at 4 and 5. Like in the middle, like blocked into the middle, but under 500 as a singles.
Yeah, which is, I think, starting his first tournament at 8 points, I think is good.
Yeah. Plus you buy yourself another play-in next year if he's still a hot act. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important, but also, like, he's very little singles experience since coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So you sort of have to lean into that. Unless you really want to go with him and make him a dude, in which case you go with him and you make him a dude. But I feel like everything with New Japan takes a little longer than, strap a rocket.
Right.
It is very rare to see an actual rocket strap, and Yuto Ice, especially given that there's more juice to squeeze out of the tag team with Oscar.
Yeah.
And so I think somehow they get back to doing more of that, because those matches are hot. I mean, they really they were hot until the very end, and they were even the match with we'll just say it was with Hanare. Even the match with Hanare was hot. I mean, and those two dudes were getting after it. So Yuto Ice is sort of the workhorse. He was the workhorse in that particular match, I think. So yeah, I mean, similar to you, I'm excited to see him against a lot of the quote unquote never coded guys.
Yeah. And also, I think he's going to want to get a win over Ocon. That could be a win that leads Knockout Brothers to getting a rematch against Ocon and Hanare. But yeah, again, really a great list of opponents here. I think also, him and Takeshita is probably going to be one that will be a lot of fireworks.
Yeah, and you've got night 2. So the first night in Japan, you've got Yuto Ice and Bolton. And that'll be awesome.
That'll rock.
So, yeah. I mean, night 1, we get to see Yuto Ice in there with Great Okan.
Get out the way early.
I'm less than excited about that, but I think it's going to be all about his entrance. So yeah, we'll see. The early part of his tournament, and then he goes Bolton to Takeshita. So the early part of Yuto Ice's tournament is going to be very important to the perception of what his tournament's going to look like going forward.
Yeah. And then last guy here in the A block, we have the Grip, Ray Oiwa, with his second entry, qualifying this morning by defeating El Phantasmo to get in the tournament.
I'd like to see him get out of the play-in range.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now we've done that twice. He's played in twice. I would like to see him, cross the 500 threshold and get to 5 and 4, and then, maybe take it from there. Maybe it doesn't have to be much more than that, but I'd like to see him in that mix. That's what I want. I think there's space for that in this block. I think there's enough guys that make sense for him to beat. And I do think, I've got upset alert on that Takeshita Oiwa match. And that's probably the match I'm most looking forward to from Oiwa, is the Takeshita match on the last night of the A block.
Yeah, and that's a good one. Yeah, last night, upset, and again, that could set up a TV title match for him. So, yeah, I like that booking there. And yeah, I agree with you. I want to see a little bit more from him this year as far as like how they slot him. I feel like he's kind of just felt like a young lion with a coat of paint on him. Like they really haven't given him a ton of like character direction or a lot to really sink his teeth into. Also, he's had like the great team, him and Zach teaming up, but they failed to win the titles, and he's just kind of been on the lower end program. So yeah, I think let's kind of kick it to gear. Not saying he has to win the whole thing or even advance, but yeah, I think let's get him to be a 10-point guy at this point. Yeah, and there's plenty of guys he could beat here. Like he can easily beat Sonata and Jake Lee and Ocon. And then there's some veterans here that he can get some wins over. And also they told a whole story with him and Goto this year when TMDK and Hantai were feuding, and he failed to beat Goto twice in a row. They had a singles match and that never 6-man title match where he failed to pin Goto both times. So I think that now the time to let him get that win over Goto, and then get him in this that 10-point spot and have him being a good beating Takeshita on that last night gets him to 10 points.
Yeah, I think that's his tournament, and that's fine. That's enough, I think, and it sets him up to be more important going forward.
Yeah. Well, that is the A block. Let's now jump over to the B block. So we'll start off with Zack Sabre Jr., who's coming in with his 10th consecutive entry. He won the tournament in 2024.
It sort of feels like he's been downcycled a little bit. Certainly in recent months. But Zach in the G1, I mean, like, how do you bet against it ultimately? Also, he's like the perfect candidate for the, sort of veteran hand going through into either the semis or the finals. I would imagine in the pick'em, I'm going to get a lot of Zack Sabre Jr. losing in the finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for me, just seeing how he's been booked this year, like I don't see him even getting to a semifinal spot this year.
No.
I mean, I feel like I don't know. I'm kind of more on the young guys here. I just feel like he's been so downcycled. I mean, he was in that gauntlet match at Wrestle Kingdom, and I feel like they really haven't given him any major single spotlight. I feel like there's been a lot of tag team work with him and Oiwa. They had that great New Year's Dash main event, and they've challenged Knockout Brothers a couple times this year, but I feel like he's been such on the back burner. I mean, easily, like if he goes through, then it's not a surprise. But I feel like because he's been downcycled, I don't see him getting to the semifinals.
Yeah, he just feels like the only guy from this block that fits the bill in that way.
Right.
That like veteran hand, plausible guy that can go through and maybe ensure that a younger guy gives a good performance in a semifinal or a final for that matter.
Yeah. And I feel like that's like a big like upset that you can give to somebody to have them knock Sabre out from going through semifinals. You beat a former finalist.
Well, Zach's got Aaron Wolf on the last night of the block.
That's an intriguing...
There's something there, right?
Yeah, that's an intriguing last matchup.
It is.
Because it's like, if Zach beats him, like, is Zach going to go challenge for the Never title? And then...
No, but it could just be one of those, like... Well, so I had heard before Evo was the match for Aaron Wolf at Wrestle Kingdom, and a lot of that probably tied to Evil. I think Evil was pretty forthcoming with the fact that he was going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I think they knew that for a long time. So they set up the Aaron Wolf Evil thing, and then that set up the House Torture stuff. Before that, everyone I talked to was under the impression that Zach and Aaron Wolf Zach was going to be Aaron Wolf's first program. So maybe they're getting to it now. And maybe Zach wins on the last night of the B block, which is, the last night of block play in this year's G1. Maybe Zach wins, or maybe Aaron Wolf wins, and somehow that leads to Zach in the Never world. I don't know. I mean, that's not out of the question, I don't think. Zach has, as far as I can tell, Zach does not have an ego about what title he wants to be involved with. I think he wants to do cool stuff with New Japan still. So maybe there's something that's a Styles make fights type of match,
Yeah.
So I've got that one penciled in as something to really be locked in for.
Yeah, right now I got it. Aaron Wolf as my pick for that one, giving Zach the upset, and bouncing Zach from getting to the semifinals.
I like that. Does that push Aaron Wolf into the semifinals in your world? No. It's just that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the big win, though.
Yeah. On my current block, which I'm probably going to change like 5 times before Saturday. Yeah. I have
every nap time you're changing your pick'em.
Yes. Right now I have Wolf only at 8 points.
Okay.
Because I feel like, and we'll get to him, but I feel like they don't want to go super hard with him just yet.
Yeah.
They still want to treat him like he's newer, but at the same time, I think he needs to get wins. So yeah, that win would just get him to a respectable kind of 8-point level and knock Zach out.
Yeah, and 8 points with Wolf, that feels like never champion range.
Right.
I have that information somewhere. It's my G1 stuff is in like a dozen different Excel documents. So like I will find that at some point. But yeah, the never champion at 8 points feels right to me, and I've been doing this long enough where I feel like I've got a good finger on the pulse of that type of stuff. So not out of the question that's the case.
Yeah.
So, but I think his wins would be, I think Zach. Let's stick to Zach. I think Zach's losses will be meaningful. So whoever beats Zach it'll all mean something, and that could just be Wolf. Like being Aaron Wolf means something in a way too. So, but I have Zach in the mix to move on. At least he's alive going into the last night of block.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely be alive, and he's probably going to end up being the MVP of this block. But yeah,
you think he's going to carry a lot of these guys?
Yeah, carry / just give guys their best matches in the block. But yeah, I think that his down cycling is causing me a little weary of how far they'll go with him this year.
Yeah. He's historically gotten a lot of good stuff, or better than the norm out of Ren Narita.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know what that looks like necessarily now, but I still feel like Narita is giving like full pro wrestling matches, even in the House of Torture vortex.
Yeah.
Occasionally, not all the time. So I'm curious what that match looks like now.
Yeah. I think that night one, Zach Umino, I feel like they've started to, figure out their chemistry, and I think everything after the Tokyo Dome main event has rocked, and so I feel like that should be a really good match in Chicago. And I'm also the Newman match. I'm interested to see what a Zach Newman match looks like.
Yeah. Those to me, those are the big two. And Wolf. Yeah. This is a good block. I like the B block. Like just kind of sort of broad strokes. I generally like all the wrestlers in the B block in one way or another.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the former global heavyweight champion, the Roughneck Shota Umino, with his 4th consecutive entry, just losing the belt now to Gabe Kidd, that global title, and his career best, he was a playoff entry in 2025.
Of course he was.
And we had a question from Pussy Destroyer 13479. Yeah. So I showed his chances of winning a G1 shot up exponentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way around it. Like, I think he's probably the favorite now. Mm-hmm. I don't love that, but I don't hate it either.
Well, I feel like you have to like you got to do it with him at some point.
Totally.
But going back to some stuff we were mentioning earlier, I feel like the whole Moxley Death Rider thing looms over this, even if it's not the Tokyo Dome match. Because to me, when he won a global title and the whole Death Rider thing kicked off, to me that screamed, "Oh yeah, let's do." And Umino's mentioned too, like, I want to defend against AEW guys. Let's do Umino Mox in the Dome for the global title. That could be a cool matchup. Now if he wins G1, and does it end up, if he challenges Tsuji in October, beats Tsuji, do you do that Umino Mox match? We mentioned that doesn't really feel like a New Japan kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or do you do the whole... He fights Mox on the way to the Dome to give him something important to do on the way to Tsuji.
You got to figure Mox wants to get back into the Dome world, right?
Right, yeah.
Like the guy that shows up for the Dome, like, that's fine. That's going to be a Moxley role. So I think I have a run-in coming. I hear it. I hear it. Here she comes. Here, go. Yep. Hi, buddy. Oh. You want to say hi to Jeremy? Hey, say hi to the people.
What's
up? No, you don't want to say hello. Okay. You going to sleep? Yeah. She's so confused as to what's happening right now.
What is going on?
Very sorry to the listeners, but on camera, this is very cute.
Yes, that's worth your Patreon money to see that right there.
That's what I'm saying.
Nice.
Okay, go to bed. I love you. All right.
We're talking about Moxley.
That was for the listeners.
How does that whole Moxley thing play into? I feel like that's the potential. That's the one thread that could potentially stop him from winning. Also, I mean, just even with Gabe being in the same block, what if it's the Death Rider's mission to make sure Umino doesn't go through, and maybe what if?
But that wasn't my read on where this was headed at Forbidden Door.
Yeah,
but it would be my read if all they did was the Gabe Kidd match.
Mm-hmm.
But at Forbidden Door, it was this whole like, okay, all right, all right, yeah, I see you.
Yeah,
okay. And then like they sort of teased which way it was going to go, and then the Tanahashi thing and all that. So I don't know. It's like we're not going to get any advancement. And I don't think Jon Moxley's like going to corner Umino in Chicago. So we're not going to know anything until way far out of that. But it creates this sort of seed of doubt of like maybe Umino has something else to do for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to being like the G1 champion.
Yeah, that's like my one hesitancy of going all the way with him. But in every scenario that I've worked out so far, I do have him as one of my guys going through from the B block into semifinals.
Yeah, there's a couple of other options here, but he's got to be the leader in the pack.
Yeah. And I think the Gabe Kidd match is going to be one to circle that rematch, and hopefully it's going to be an actual, full match and not just an angle added onto a match. But I feel like they've built some good heat up there, and it's personal, and so I think that could be a fun one to watch here.
Yeah, and of course I have the Uemura match circled.
Yeah,
just history. you got to figure these guys have to start getting into each other's spaces a lot more. Uemura, Umino, Tsuji, like those are sort of the big three, right? So Uemura and Umino, they haven't had a lot of meaningful interaction.
Right.
Besides, until this year, right? So they've sort of been on separate paths. So I'm curious where that particular match goes in a G1.
Yeah, especially since they were so focused on winning the tag titles earlier this year, and they just kind of broke up. We didn't really get much fallout or promos.
I thought they were going to win those titles.
So did I. I thought that would have been a great spot for them until they kind of decided to do more single stuff with them. But also in hindsight, Naga Brothers having a hot long reign was great.
It made more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would love. We didn't really get much of like a fallout between Umor and Umino.
No.
And not saying that they had a blood feud from failing to win the tag titles, but it would have been good to have a little bit more animosity, or even one of the guys kind of being, I was the star of the team, or maybe we could have won if I had a different partner, kind of a thing. I feel like
and it did feel like that was where it was going to go, and they just never followed up on it.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm seeing right now in my document is that they haven't wrestled a singles match since they were Young Lions.
Really?
In Young Lion Cup 2019.
Wow, that's crazy. I feel like
that feels wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I don't know. Cage Match has it the same. I mean, full disclosure, everything I have is from Cage Match. So, thanks guys. But that's surprising to me.
Yeah, I guess.
But I can't think of when they would have.
Yeah, because originally I was thinking, but I was kind of picturing Narita. They did the whole Narita Umino thing where the team broke up and feuded.
And Uemura and Tsuji have crossed paths a lot.
Yeah.
But Umino, like I said, Umino and Uemura haven't intermingled much. And I was right? I was saying it feels like they haven't intermingled much, but they just genuinely haven't, especially since they've both been back and full-time back from excursion. So that's a really interesting piece to the puzzle, especially with Uemura having been a New Japan Cup finalist and all that. So, interesting. I've got that match circled.
Yeah, that feels like it's going to be either a main event or semi-main event, depending on what night it's happening.
Yeah, I'm clicking through now to find it. Oh, it's at let's see, night 7. What's the date on that?
That's July 26th in Tokyo.
So it's Ota. That's a main event at Ota, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna rock.
Especially what's on the rest of that card.
Yeah.
I think
there's some good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach and Gabe, Drilla and Callum are both really good matches. That'll be a good show.
Yeah.
But I hope that's the main.
Yeah, I feel like I think you kind of have to there.
In Tokyo? Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
God, I wish that was Corkin though.
Yeah. But they, the site of their failed, they challenged for the titles, and didn't they challenge in Ota?
Yeah, that was Ota.
Yeah.
Was it Ota? Was that anniversary show?
I think so, right? Or am I confusing them with Zach and Oiwa?
Zach and Oiwa.
Because I know also Zach and Oiwa challenged at New Year's Dash at Ota, but didn't Uemura and Umino challenge at Ota also?
It was that was at Edion. It was New Beginning in Osaka.
Okay.
Yeah. Zach that must have been Ota.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
But either way, still, I think Ota's a good spot for Umino.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a big deal. That's going to be a big deal match to me.
Yeah.
Specifically to me.
Well, speaking of Uemura, he's next up here. Yeah. Third consecutive entry in G1. Career best being last year, going 5-4.
It's interesting. I really thought he was going to be sort of the surprise guy to make it to the knockouts before he got hurt in 20. What was that? 23?
It was a year that CG went to the finals. So I think that was 23, right? Or was that?
Yeah, I think that was. What is time?
Because that was the year.
It had to be 24.
Yeah, it was where Zach beat Suji in the finals. Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought Uemura was going to be like the surprise guy where they're like, oh shoot, they're really going with him. And then they sort of did that then this year with the New Japan Cup. So it's hard for me to believe that he's gonna get a hefty G1 run after having a hefty New Japan Cup run, but we're sort of in uncharted territory where we don't have a ton of other guys worth elevating. And I do think that they still see Uemura as a key piece to the future. So I got to figure he's somewhere near the mix of, being alive on the last night, right? That's sort of in a way, that's me saying like, when I say they're going to be alive on the last night, it's like they're not just like completely disregarding this person. They believe in this person, and maybe this person could end up going forward. But even if they're on the outside looking in, at least they had a meaningful match on the last night of G1 block competition, and that's sort of an important feather in guys' caps too. So, he's got Oscar on the last night, which doesn't.
Yeah, that screams like not important to me, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That screams not important. So,
or it screams Oscar spoils him.
Yeah. Yeah. But Uemura doesn't really have there's no reason for that besides Uemura getting back into the tag world, which is fine. That but with who? I guess Taichi, but that's a whole nother story. Yeah. So, or it means Uemura ran away with the block, and he's just. But that's sort of how. I guess I'm referencing Best of Super Juniors, where it's like the last night sort of didn't matter in that tournament. Annoyingly, didn't matter in that tournament. So, yeah, I don't know, but either way. Uemura, the match I have circled is the Umino match, but there's plenty of other stuff in here. I think he and Wolf might have a really cool match, right? Remember the Oiwa match last year? That was might have been my match of the year. Uemura, he's got the physical, he's physically smooth. So when you get him in there with guys that I think sort of wrestle in that more traditional way, he's a really interesting opponent for a lot of for guys like Wolf and Zack Sabre Jr. So I'm curious where that goes, but I'm also curious what it looks like for him to get in there with like Big Bruiser Hanare. Just because like Uemura really depends on that really smooth wrestling, and then you put him in there with a dude that's just going to stop that in his tracks. That sounds terrifying to me.
Yeah, I also think seeing what he does against Gabe Kidd, because I think also Uemura is going to be a guy that wants to defend the line mark and defend Tanahashi. So I think that match could get personal and can be more of a brawl as well. So another guy that kind of takes him out of that, smooth, flowy element to you're fighting for your life now, and you're in deep waters with Gabe Kidd, who's gonna brawl for you, gonna make you bleed. There's no time for fancy arm drags. Like you're gonna have to punch this guy in the mouth.
He's almost certainly gonna lose that match.
Probably.
Like it's just hard for me to. It's hard for me to picture him not. It's hard for me to picture him winning against Gabe Kidd.
Yeah, I feel like Gabe eats him alive.
Just murders him. The sort of what he did to Umino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm lacking a little bit of connection with Uemura. I just feel like there's something like, obviously the in-ring is very good. He's smooth, but I just feel like there's a quality or something that's lacking that kind of gets him to that edge of being the main event star they want him to be.
Someone is blowing off fireworks like they're in Washington, D.C. in my neighborhood right now. It is July 6th. Like,
maybe it's pre G1 fireworks.
Just hype. They just filled out their bracket.
Yeah.
They went outside. They filled
it's
out.
Rocky Romero, just like
He would. He's Rocky Romero definitely loves fireworks, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no like he's just. I'd be shocked if he doesn't. God, it's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot happening here. There's always a moment here. I'm really off the rails tonight. So did our moment in Los Angeles mean nothing then?
No, like that was a great moment in LA, watching him get a win on that, that resurgence, that first show, that first US show in the pandemic. That was a great moment, and like I was hoping to see more from him, and I enjoyed a lot of what he was doing on Impact as well during that time period. And I don't know, he just came back, and I don't really connect to the whole like heat storm thing, and he's kind of looks like a flying Elvis, and kind of wants to be a Tanahashi knockoff, and I don't know, there's just something about him where right now I don't fully get excited when his name shows up. Like I know he's very good, but like I'm not rooting for him right now.
Wow. It hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts me personally.
I'm sorry. Like I could easily see him getting through. Like I could Umino and Uemura, I think are the two favorites to get through from this block.
But how did you feel about his New Japan Cup run?
I thought it was fine.
Did you never believed he was going to win that tournament though, right? Like you thought he was the guy going to the finals to lose.
Well, I thought maybe like against a guy like Newman, like maybe just like the elevation for Newman was getting to the finals and you go with your domestic guy. But just like his run in the tournament, if I remember correctly, I don't feel like he had, until he got to like that semifinal and final spot, I feel like he kind of like had some like more easier opponents, and I don't know, it's gonna feel super impressive of a build to get to the finals.
The Bolton match was good, the semifinal.
Yeah.
That was really, really good. Before that, Great O'Con, Drilla, before Drilla really had sort of ascended.
Which had that weird finish where like he got hit with Drilla Killa and rolled him up. I hated that.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I didn't hate it because I love you. Like my bias didn't hate it.
Right, yeah.
I think in a vacuum I would have hated that in a different way. And then he beat Shingo, which I remember being good but not memorable. So yeah, I guess I see what you're saying. But the G1 feels like a time to get back on track with a guy like that too.
Yeah, definitely.
It does feel like there's a lot of that where like someone's going to get back on track here in the G1. In the B block, there's not a lot of candidates for that, right? Mm-hmm. But you do have Drilla Maloney that you can tell they're behind, right? They want him to be a dude. You've got Shota Umino, Aaron Wolf, Zack Sabre Jr. You've got Kelm Newman that you want to get back on track. Like there's a lot of, and Gabe Kidd, there's a lot of players in this block. So I could see him going 5-4 again. I could see Uemura going 5-4 again. I could also see him going 6-3, 7-2. I mean, like they could get behind him too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think the new, and I guess it'd be interesting to see what are the correlations for like a New Japan Cup push to your G1 run. But I feel like that was an elevation, even though they didn't really follow up post New Japan Cup. I feel like that was kind of like the signs of like, all right, yeah, he's a guy that we kind of see in this upper kind of tier. So I could see him having a very good point heavy G1.
What I really want is Uemura to get in the mix with the global title.
Yeah, I feel like
that's his slot right now. And that's sort of in my brain, that's his style too. Like his style is quote unquote intercontinental title style, work ratey, like extra work ratey, extra smarky. Right.
Like,
he has that style where
he is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yeah. So lean into it, get him into the mix with the white belt for when you want that to be held by a domestic wrestler, right? Which to me, it's not nearly often enough at this point. But I think the match that I have circled then for him is whenever he wrestles Gabe Kidd, because then I want Uemura to win. It's on the second to last night of B block, so it's night 15. In May. I'll have to defer to the experts on that one. Nisho Highway Arena. All right. Big building. So yeah, that's probably the current Uemura match that I want to see him win the most, because then I think that could possibly set something up once Gabe's out of the vortex of Amino.
Yeah. Which I know we just talked about Gabe running through him, but yeah, it would be good for him.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, I guess. But that could also lead to another interaction.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And I think the thing with me with Uemura, which is not really his fault, but I think I need to see him just win matches stronger. I feel like he's often the wacky roll up, sunset flip, catch you off guard guy. Like, I want to see him just hit more deadbolt suplexes and frog splashes.
Which is a stick move.
Yeah, just beating people.
Yeah, so. I agree. And obviously the Callum Newman rematch is interesting. I love the final, the New Japan Cup final.
Yeah, that was great.
So I think maybe Uemura gets his win back. Maybe that's an interesting. Maybe he looks strong. Maybe that sets him up in a way. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. He's got. I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of his. Anyone who's listened to me do audio or talk anywhere, I'll always say that he's a guy that I'm watching. So I'm. I sort of like you though. I'm waiting to really feel like his push to the top is imminent, and I also do not feel that way just yet.
Yeah. Up next, we got Sold Out Ren Narita, who's coming in his fourth consecutive entry, career best 5-4 in 2024 and 2025.
I mean, what's there to say? He's the House of Torture heavy at this point, I guess.
Yeah, the main representation for this tournament. And we also got Sonata in A block. So only two house guys. So not too shabby here.
No, that's good. That's a good thing. And Narita again, sort of wrestles almost whole wrestling matches. So, yeah, I mean, I don't hand wave him by any means. I don't look at Ren Narita matches and say okay, I couldn't possibly watch that, but I won't say I'm going to be locked in for everything.
Yeah, obviously there will be shenanigans. There will be the push-up bar, Dick Togo and company getting involved. So, but he's probably going to fill that evil role of you don't want him to win, and he's going to win, and he's potentially going to be alive going into the final night, and then you get the joy of him getting knocked out and not going through.
Well, he's got Gabe on the last night.
That's going to be...
That's weird.
Weird, but interesting.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I don't know what that tells us, but that's what's happening.
I don't know. I don't know what the points will be, but I kind of feel like that's a Narita match to win. Because Gabe's not going to have Death Riders with him. Narita's going to have the house with him and can out shenanigan Gabe Kidd. So to me, that screams Narita spoils Gabe, knocks him out, or that could be Narita's slide in.
Where is that? It's at Corkin. That's interesting. I don't know. I'm watching that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Just because it could go either way. I'm curious where they're both standing on the way in.
Yeah, like the way I currently have my block in the contest, I have it being just Narita spoiling Gabe, and Narita gets to 8, and then he stops Gabe from going through.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, and the House of Torture guys famously don't always like jump in and say like, "Oh, give me your title," right? Yeah. So that also means they could do that and not have to worry about necessarily running towards a global match, since Gabe will ultimately have limited availability, especially after the G1. So
right, and it's very clear that Gabe's story is against Umino and probably potentially more Hantai guys that want to defend the Lion Mark.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and certainly not House of Torture, which at this point is sort of adjacent to what Gabe's doing.
Right, exactly, yeah. Who knows, maybe there'll be an alliance with the House and Death Riders and the Dogs.
Yeah, TK really would go for that.
Yeah, and then he could be a member of all 3 of those units.
Famous House of Torture lover Tony Khan would jump for that.
Yeah. Well, up next, let's talk about Drilla Maloney with his 2nd consecutive entry in the G1, with his career best being last year. He went 4-5.
Yeah, I think we'll see Drilla cross the threshold to over 500. So if I had to pencil him in, just not really looking at the matches, I think he should go 5-4.
Yeah, that's where I have him currently.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't know who he beats. I don't know that it really matters, but I think he gets over that hump. He's over 500. I think he's a guy that New Japan believes in. He's a hell of a wrestler. He showed up really well at Forbidden Door. It's a real shame that he doesn't get to wrestle at the Chicago show. But yeah, I mean, I think he's one of those guys that's going to have a really good match quality tournament. Mm-hmm. He's sort of on top of his game right now. He's I think he's in the best shape of his life, as they like to say at sports like pre-seasons. So he's sort of in that space right now, and I think he's going to show up. He's a guy that I could see them just like giving the rub and sending into the semis if they needed to.
I think he's definitely
sort of in that space.
Yeah, he's like you were mentioning earlier, like that one kind of surprise guy to do sometimes. Yeah, I could easily see him being like that kind of dark horse guy where it's the final night, he's at 10 points and he wins and gets his 4 to 12, and you're like, oh, how did that?
Yeah, totally. And like then he goes in with the guy that is going to the finals, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You're like, oh well, he's not winning that, but that's cool. He's totally in that space of like the why not Drilla. Yeah. So keep eyes on that. Who does he? Did we talk about who he has on the last night yet? He's got Amino on the last night.
Yeah, that screams important. Like both guys are coming in at 10 points and
right.
Yeah, win or go home.
Yeah, and then if Amino's gonna just get bounced, or if Amino's gonna live in like the Gabe Kidd Death Rider vortex from there on, maybe you send Drilla through and you get that out of the way without having to muck up the semis.
Right, and also Drill is a part of that story too, based on the Triple Threat and the whole former War Dog affiliation. And could you have something where like Gabe helps Drilla without Drilla really wanting it, just to screw Umino, or I don't know, some kind of thread there that links that whole story together?
Yeah, and somehow attaches him, because I think Drilla is also a guy that you could see doing some freelance work to AEW.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And like being a part of that whole story. So yeah, there might be something there.
Yeah, and so also with that, I think the Gabe Kidd match is going to be very intriguing to watch, because obviously Gabe was trying to get him to quote unquote see the light and not believe in the fans that are cheering for him, and to join the rest of the dogs in AEW.
Right, and it's the lone B block match on the first, or the first night in Japan. So they scheduling wise, there's 9 matches in Chicago, which is almost everyone. It's everyone but Gabe and Drilla. And then from there, they balance it back out by having Gabe and Drilla both wrestle singles matches on the first 2 nights in Japan when they go back to Japan in Hokkaido. And then from there, it's just A block and B block separated, which I love the scheduling this year, aside from Gabe and Drilla not being able to be on night 1. It's really well, it's well put together. It's well balanced. It's the same number of shows as they've done in most years past. But they created space for semifinals by having, literally almost everyone on that first night. So, but that'll balance it out. So you will, if you're locked in, when they get to Japan, you'll see them, sort of establish both Gabe and Drilla pretty early. Because they'll both have matches on those first 2 nights.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very intriguing story to kick off both of their tournaments and how that match goes, and does Gabe try to get Drilla to lay down for him, kind of a thing, and that whole what is that? Is it old Bullet Club style, or but Drilla doesn't really live in that world, right?
But
yeah,
could he be convinced to?
Yeah, or does Gabe cheat to beat his former dog for real, and that caused a whole bunch of issues. So I think that's going to be a very intriguing one to watch. I kind of wish Drilla was an A block. Just looking at the opponents there, but I think this will be a good block for him. Also, I think the Gabe Kidd match will be good. The Hanare match will be one to watch. I think Kim and Umino will be fun. Him and Zach. So he has a good sort of opponents here, but I think stylistically the A block was like made for him.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. It's hard to say that anyone's not a good opponent for him right now.
Yeah,
because Drilla really is. I think he's firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah. Well, up next we got the Prince, Callum, and Newman with his 3rd consecutive entry. Career best was last year, 4-5. Former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, New Japan Cup winner.
You got to figure he's doing better than that.
Yeah,
better than 4-5.
Yeah, he's another guy. He's a guy that I would have as a potential guy that can get to the semifinals. I know last week when we talked to Chris Charlton, it kind of seemed to me like Newman was kind of an afterthought, like as he was booking out his bracket. But
yeah,
to me, I kind of feel like, and on the broadcast today, they said he was cleared, and good to go for G1. I kind of feel like with his elevation and winning the New Japan Cup and winning the title, I kind of feel like you got to follow that up somehow. And so, especially with the way the Dominion match ended, I kind of feel like he needs to get one of those spots, or kind of what I mentioned earlier, where he's kind of going in. He gets 12 points, but he loses a 3-way tie or something like that. I think he needs to look super strong in this block.
He needs to be important.
Yeah.
And I think that they've sort of told us that he's going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily in the G1. But it would be really strange for him to lose the title, and then the first major thing he does afterwards is the G1 and have him, pop back up at 5-4.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like the way New Japan goes about things usually. So
how do you feel about a Tsuji Newman semifinal match?
Fine. Yeah, I think that'd be fine. But who goes through then? Tsuji?
I feel like you'd have Newman go through, right? You wouldn't want the champ to go, because then you're kind of
right.
Yeah.
I don't love that. Like, I don't love how you book out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I would enjoy the match.
Yeah, because then he would then potentially probably face somebody from A block, and then the A block person
maybe. Or maybe they do have the option of running back something from the same, like having both the guys from A or B win. Which, I don't love, but I don't hate either. I don't like mixing the blocks in the knockouts. I don't like A1, B2, B1, A2. I would rather.
You don't like that?
I want it to stay with. I want the A block to stay with the A block and the B block to stay with the B block until they get to the final.
Gotcha.
Like I think that it makes more sense, right? Because to me, as a regular sports fan, it makes sense because then it's like the American League playoffs in baseball play against American League teams and then eventually play the National League team for the World Series. So
right.
like that, and that to me is, the equivalent to that is, yes, you can send two guys through, but I think it should be a rematch of a block match. And people always sort of complain about that, but what this opens up is for the final to be a rematch if they want it to be. And I don't know that they've done that, but they could.
I feel like they've done that in the Super Juniors.
That I'm almost certain they've done that in Super Juniors.
Yeah.
So, and it's not that they haven't done it. It's just I don't know. I can't remember if they've done it in G1.
They might have, but I can't remember.
Everything's sort of a blur. 7 years in, guys. What do you want from me? 8 years in, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't see a need to do that. I think Callum has sort of a path to a title match if he wants it anyway.
Yeah.
Just based on how that match ended and former champion, etc. So I don't know. I mean, I agree that I think he's going to be in the mix. It's just like, this is a tough block.
Yeah. Honestly, the B block is the hardest one I'm having of like, all right, who do I, because I feel like, Umino, Uemura, and Newman, I guess even Zach, like those four guys, like you could have a pairing of any of those four guys easily slide through.
And there's really only three guys that I'm like, yeah, they're not going through.
Yeah.
And those three are Oscar, Narita, and Hanare. Like I don't think those guys are going through to the semis.
Yeah.
Other than that, like any of the other six, you could put them through, or seven. You could put them through, and I would be like, I would get it. Like I would understand why. And I don't even think I'd be like upset by it. Like Umino, Newman, Kidd, Wolf, Uemura, Maloney, Zack Sabre Jr. Like any of those guys could go to the semis, and I wouldn't blink twice at it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard to predict.
The B block's a tough block.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like it. I think it's going to make for great match quality. I think it's a really strong field overall, and the B block especially. Like, there's not much worth not paying attention to with the B block. I mean, you could needle at Ren Narita, but even that, I don't think is going to be. It's not as egregious as Sonata.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got the better House of Torture member plus a bunch of pretty good wrestlers. All things told, I think the B block should perform really well here.
Yeah.
That's sort of my macro look. I guess back to Callum Newman. Obviously the first couple matches we're going to be watching for, mobility and health.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if he's able to establish that, and we're not leaning too far into some sort of injury angle, which, they'd be silly not to at least, put out there. From there, I think there could be some really good match quality, after those first couple of matches when they establish some sort of, whatever shoulder injury angle.
Yeah. And then I think he has a bunch of great opponents here. Like I mentioned earlier, I think the Zach match is going to be fun to watch. I really love the New Japan Cup matches with him and Umino and him and Uemura. So you got those rematches there. That should be a lot of fun. The Gabe Kidd match should be interesting with how, Ospreay's kind of involved in the whole Death Rider universe as well. And obviously UE's mad at him with how he's been teaming up with them lately. So I think there's some angles that could push his Ospreay story forward from that match also. Yeah.
Newman has Hanare on the last night, so that doesn't scream important.
Yeah, that screams that upset alert. Hanare,
or just a match.
Yeah, they're both at 8 points, and
yeah,
he wins and gets to 10.
Yeah, right. Wins, gets to 10, so he looks good on the standings, but doesn't necessarily, which feels like strange. That's, on a big picture situation, like that feels strange, but again, there's a lot to work with in this block, and maybe he's already made, right? I mean, he sort of is. He won the title. He had his little run, and they don't necessarily have to keep him in that space. And they can heat him back up in a different way later.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just so hard. I'm like, I kind of want to put him through though, but
right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but with that Hanare last match, it's like that doesn't really.
And I don't think this is a block where someone runs the table and is like already through. One guy's already through, and then everyone else is playing for second.
Right.
This doesn't feel like that type of block.
Yeah.
So and Newman certainly, I wouldn't think he'd be the prime candidate for that role anyway.
Yeah. So up next, the global heavyweight champion Gabe Kidd with his 4th consecutive entry, career best 4-5 in 2024. In last year he had the injury where he only had like one match, and then he had to forfeit the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, he tried really hard to stay in that tournament. We've talked a lot about Gabe Kidd already. I don't think I need to say much more about, what I think his tournament's going to look like. I want him to stay healthy, and I want, I'm more interested in his tournament now that he's holding the global title, because I think it'll tell us where we're headed with that title. But I think we've already referenced him a couple times in matches I'm looking forward to. Specifically, gosh, I don't know. There's a handful. There's a good handful. I mean, the Drilla match, obviously. I think the Umino match will tell us a little something, and put them in there with Zach. I think those guys can go. I mean, so
yeah, they had a great G1 match. I think it was 2024. So yeah, they always seem to have good chemistry. I gotta wonder, as global champion, how much that like hurts or helps his chances of going through. Also, if he gets through, he's probably not getting to the finals.
If he wasn't holding the global title, he's a great candidate for that, like Carl Anderson finals.
Yeah,
Carl against I don't know, whoever's gonna win against Umino or Yumura or whatever, right? Whichever domestic star you want to make. Like, Gabe's a guy that can help make a guy. But with all that said, as global champion, that's sort of an odd place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, but looking forward to Gabe's performance. Should have a really good tournament.
I'm way more in on Gabe now after the Umino match. Just like, I feel like he's locked in on what he's going to be doing, character-wise.
Yeah. Then up next here, 1/2 of the tag champs, 1/3 of the never 6-man champ, Sanare, with his 4th entry, first in 2 years. Career best was in 2024, going 4-5.
Role player. But I love a Hanare singles match. So
same, yeah.
I think he's, especially with this group, he's sort of the different guy. He's the different wrestler.
Right, yeah. He's going to be the hard-hitting guy that kind of forces guys to wrestle that more never style matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be surprised if he's not at or near the bottom of the block. But with that said, that doesn't mean he won't play a meaningful role in sort of the dynamics of the block. Yeah, and I think probably the match I'm most looking forward to is Drilla. I don't know. I think those guys are gonna get after it.
Yeah, that match is gonna rock. And again, I think with him being tag champ, never 6-man champ, that could potentially lead to something if people pin him to potential future matches in those divisions. But yeah, I think he'll probably stay around that 4 and 5 range.
Yeah, he could teeter down even. He's a perfect candidate to get into a play-in match next year because he's just like he wrestles with that sort of urgency that those play-in matches really get elevated by.
Yeah.
So even if he sort of falls off in that way, that could be an interesting path for him if he's going to be around.
Yeah.
Drilla match is the second night in Japan, so it's night 3 overall. So that Drilla's got a big first weekend.
Yeah.
And
then second to last here, the never open weight champion Aaron Wolf making his debut entry, defeated Yoshihashi in the playoffs or play-ins to get into G1 Climax.
I think we're going to learn a lot by the end of this month.
Yeah, I mean, just based off the Yoshihashi match, I'm super excited. Like, he's got Zach, Umino, Uemura, Drilla, Newman, Gabe, Hanare. Like,
yep.
If he can do what he did with Yoshihashi, like, imagine what he's going to do with, like, that crop of guys.
Yep. Yeah, and all you got to hope is that those guys give the same level of effort even if they're down card, right? Because I don't know how many of these Wolf matches are going to end up high on the card. Even if they're sort of middle of the card, maybe it was Takeshita's first G1 where he was sort of middle of the card or like semi-main on most of the shows. Maybe it was last year. He had like no main events, but like the effort was high because the opponent showed up, at a high level. I hope that's what happens with Wolf in this block. Like he's the guy that I'm hoping everyone kind of gives their all to, and I think that would mean a lot to the company, New Japan, as well. But yeah, I think I don't know that everyone's gonna give Yoshihashi level, performances because Yoshihashi's really good in that scenario, right? He was the perfect opponent for Wolf. But I think if Wolf, if everyone's ready to give some effort on their match or during their match that they have with Aaron Wolf, then Aaron Wolf's going to have a great tournament. And not necessarily meaning that like these guys need to carry him, but I mean like I think the crowd investment will grow as the tournament goes on if we're seeing a lot out of Aaron Wolf, because Aaron Wolf hasn't had a lot of opportunities to show anything up until that Yoshihashi match. Yeah. So, hopefully that gives the roster some confidence and they kind of give him that effort. Cause I think that would give a lot of people a lot of hope for New Japan.
Yeah. And also I think an important thing to watch with him is being never champion. So are we going to set up some future challengers for him down the line? I mean, Hanare is a perfect, like, never coated guy that could challenge.
Ren Narita's right there, Jeremy. Let's get him back in the House of Torture Vortex.
Oh man,
that would be very upsetting.
That'd be awful. Yeah, I'm hoping. Right now I have Wolf pencil to beat him again and just steer clear of that.
Yeah, just like put it to bed, right?
Yeah.
I think after the reaction and the everything that happened in that Yoshihashi match, that feels like the right decision. Just like let him kill Narita and be done with it. Move on.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm nervous about that match. I think the Gabe Kidd match will be interesting too.
Yeah, I'm sure Gabe will have a lot of fun comments.
Oh yeah.
to say about it.
Well, and it gives Wolf a chance to like defend the Lion Mark, right?
Right, yeah.
And that's the type of stuff we want to start to see from him.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Zach match earlier. I think that's going to be very intriguing to see how Wolf wrestles a Zach style matchup. Especially
in a scenario where it should be important.
Right, yeah, the final night. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a lot of weight to that match. I feel like both guys will be alive going in.
I mean, just looking at what else is on that card, I mean, like, there's really two options for a main event. It's Zach versus Aaron Wolf or Drilla versus Amino.
Right. And to me, those both feel like the win and you're in matches.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we go into that night 17 and it's literally just 2 win and in matches. Mm-hmm. That sounds like good, clean booking to me.
Yeah. Well, last here we got one half of the Knockout Brothers, Oscar, also with his debut entry, defeating Yujiro Takahashi this morning to punch his ticket to G1.
Yeah, I think he's going to be sort of the token tag guy that's in the tournament.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he feels very Tangaloa.
Yeah. You know, he's a guy that could go 3-6 and it's fine.
Yeah.
I think Oscar's great. I don't think he's had much chance to show much, even less so than Yuto Ice. But yeah, he will have plenty to do, and his role is very protected, even if he, throws up a 6-point spot here.
Right. I think the most important thing for him is getting a win over Hinare.
Yeah.
To help solidify Naga Brothers getting a rematch against those guys.
Yeah. That they're still here. They're still a tag team. I think you're right. That's very important.
Yeah. Outside of that, I think he will end up having a very good tournament. Will just not be an important figure in the block.
Right. And
unless they go full Hikuleo, where it's like the big tall guy just like cleans house and we don't expect it, and he's big, he's tall, and he just goes
and he eliminates Yu Uemura on the last day. I mean, like, it's not out of the question.
Right, yeah. That would add some stake to that matchup besides just kind of feeling like a spoiler-ish match for Yuya.
Yeah. I don't like it though.
Yeah. We have a couple questions here to run through. Rambone says, if this G1 isn't set up to crown one of the Reiwa generation guys as a winner, will it be looked back on as a failure, or is there still time for outsiders or previous generation guys to win without imperiling the development of the next generation of talent?
God, I feel like we've been talking about the next generation of talent for 5 years.
Yeah.
I probably said it last year last year I really did feel like Takeshita was going to win that tournament, and I was right. But it's hard to say because the only one that really makes sense on the surface right now in this very moment before the whole tournament has happened is Amino.
Yeah.
And with that said, he's had every opportunity you could possibly have to succeed. And I think people are more accepting of him now. And a lot of people have turned, myself included, have turned a corner on him and says, like, okay, this guy's got it together. Like, I think we can run with it. But I don't think Uemura makes sense yet unless he really shows something during the tournament. And then from there, I mean, who else, right? Like Tsuji. But then again, it's like another one of those, like, we're throwing another accolade on the pile.
All right. If Tsuji was not champion, that would have been my
absolutely
pick. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, then you say, like, okay, well, he's been champion, now you give him a G1, and then he becomes the big boss, right?
Right, yeah.
Then in every scenario, then Tsuji is the final boss. But that's not the case. And I don't think you give Tsuji the champion's run as the G1 winner either. That doesn't add up right now. I said that earlier. So the only Reiwa guy that I think really makes sense, and this is, again, at the beginning of the tournament, right? A lot can change over the course of 9 singles matches. But the only guy that makes sense is Amino. And that's fine. But he's your clubhouse leader then. And I guess now might be the time to go with it. But it sort of sucks that they put the global on him for a hot second. Because that was sort of his moment,
right?
Of like, finally, I've overcome this, not being able to win, quote unquote, the big one or the sort of big one. I would love for it to be Uemura, but it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that whole Gabe injury screwed up Umino's plans, because like he probably would not have been in that mix, because I'm assuming Gabe would have won the title from Tsuji and would have been the champion this whole time.
Yeah, just held on to it.
Right, and so now you gave Umino that quick accomplishment, and like I feel like, yeah, he should have done more with that and then not win G1, but I don't know. But out of all the young guys, since Tsuji's locked up, I kind of feel like it's Umino's year, it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I'd be with it. I don't think I'll be against it, but it's a little less exciting having with the path he had to take to get there.
Yeah. He also asked, what do you think matters more for making a new star, their first IWGP Heavyweight title reign or their first G1 win?
Either or both. They're both, I mean, I think, there have been, 100 some odd IWGP Heavyweight champions. Maybe not 100. Whatever.
No, it's 80 or something. Right?
Yeah,
it's like
80 something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there have only been 30 G1, and there's only one chance to win a G1 every year, right? So G1's a really big deal, and they've done a nice job of keeping it that way. So I think they're different, but at similar prominence.
Yeah, I don't think one is necessarily more important than the other, but each has their own prestige in their own way. But I think you can use either to make a star.
And they're also like separate stories, right? You can have guys that can win the championship. Like Tsuji could tell this story eventually, right? Has been multiple time IWGP heavyweight champion, can't win a G1, right? So like sometimes you have to keep that stuff in your pocket so these guys have something to do over the course of the year where they look like the underdog. And that was part of what ended up missing with Okada towards the tail end of Okada's run is he had won a bunch of G1s. He had won the title. He had broken every record. Like, what else was there for Okada to do in New Japan besides be the the final boss for the next generation when Okada's not ready for his generation to be done, right?
Yeah.
So he is still at the top of his game. So that I like leaving one of these doors open for these guys so that at least during a certain portion of the year, specifically like if the story is they can't win the G1, then they there's a story that makes them look beatable.
Right. Yeah. Next question here from MJ. He says, throw your sensible booking hat out the window and give me your guaranteed banger semifinals and finals.
Ooh, you go first.
All right. So semifinals. I think you can't go wrong with Zack versus Takeshita. And then another guaranteed banger. I'd probably do maybe Shingo versus Gabe, or Shingo versus Hanare. Like that's not gonna happen, but like we know what those two can do together.
Oh, that's good. And then what? Your finals are?
I'd probably
Shingo Takeshita.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, sure. Damn, that's good. I don't know if I can beat that. I go Zack Shingo.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Zack Shingo for a semi, and maybe for my own tastes, Tsuji Uemura.
Okay.
And then I would go Shingo Tsuji final.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Because, well, and specifically Tsuji and Uemura have just great chemistry, right? So like that's a good matchup to tap into.
Yeah.
I wanted to get Oiwa in there. Because he's another one of those guys where it's like he ain't going that far, I don't think. But I mean, can bang.
Oiwa versus Zack semifinal.
Oiwa Zack, Oiwa Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 questions here from Suki. Says, who has been the biggest genuine shock G1 winner of the last 20 years?
That's a good question. Ibushi's third. I don't know. I mean, that's hard because a lot of them you sort of see coming.
Right. And I feel like we haven't watched a lot of those in real time.
Yeah, that's true.
So like now all those seem to make sense. But maybe if we were watching 20 years ago, some of them might not have maybe seemed as much sense as they do now.
I feel like Omega winning was surprising.
Yeah.
Just because he was the first foreigner to actually win. Yeah, I mean, and I guess Okada's first win in 2012 was a little bit surprising because it was like, wow, they're really getting behind this guy. But otherwise, I mean, like it's a who's who, right?
Right. It's kind of, you expect.
Even, I mean, I was a little surprised they went with Naito in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a different kind of surprise.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you take it from 2023 back, it's Naito, Okada, Ibushi, Tanahashi, Naito, Omega. So, right, that's sort of one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
Tanahashi, Okada, Naito, Okada, Nakamura, and then you're back to, the Kojima Makabe era. And then you're into sort of the Tenzan space. So you're way back there. So then you're 20 years back. So, I mean, so many of those were won by the sort of the big 3, big 4.
Yeah. I will say the Tanahashi 2018 win was a little surprising.
That might be the answer.
Yeah.
That might be the answer. Because that was the year you really felt like Ibushi was going to win. Mm-hmm. And they were going to go with him, but then they had Tanahashi win in a banger. One of my favorite matches of all time.
Yeah, love that, man. Yeah.
That's when I need some home cooking comfort food pro wrestling, I put that match on. I probably watch that match like half a dozen times a year.
Nice.
It is just like, and it's long, right? So It's like you put it on, you're just like, I'm happy. Like I'm in my happy phase for half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean that or Omega are the two. But you did sort of see the Omega win coming.
Mm-hmm.
But the Tanahashi win was surprising. Also, just surprising that like he was capable at that level again.
We thought he was cooked then.
Yes, yeah. Think about that. We thought he was cooked in 2018.
And Suki also asked, "What is your guys' favorite ever G1 opening night match?" For Suki, he says Naito versus Ibushi.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. A lot about that 2017 opening night was great, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That match was awesome.
I mean, I'm biased to being live in Dallas. So like I love the Ospreay Archer match, and then obviously Tanahashi, Okada live in the US. Like, I don't know, that I love that match.
Yeah, like what's not to like?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine will happen in 5 days, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
It's going to be memorable to be in the building for a G1. So I'm stoked for it.
Well, speaking of that, so the first night of G1, is this Saturday, July 11th from the Now Arena, and we do now officially have the card order.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. So the main event is going to be Yota Tsuji versus Konosuke Takeshita.
Nice.
Your semi-main event is going to be Oiwa versus Bolton Oleg. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That screams. That's like Bolton. I think that's Bolton all day.
Oh. Well, no, that tells us something, right?
Yeah. I feel like those guys, now you got to keep your eyes on Bolton and Oiwa, I feel like.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to bang.
Yeah. Then your seventh match is going to be Newman versus Uemura.
Okay.
Sixth match will be Goto versus Sonata. Fifth match, Umino versus Zack. Kind of surprising to put that there.
Does that mean Zach's winning? What does that tell you?
Again, it kind of speaks to the down cycling of Zack. I mean, that was your Tokyo Dome main event a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
that was a title program. I don't know. I could see Umino winning that.
Yeah.
Or if you want to go with the whole like Umino's on the downslide, trying to recover from Gabe, you could have Zack win, and Umino has to rally back later on in the tournament.
Yeah.
And right now they are 4-3 in singles, and Umino.
Yeah.
So you could have Zack win and tie it up. Fourth match will be Yuto Ice versus Great Okan. Third match will be Oscar versus Narita.
Ooh, I wonder if they're doing a Heyman special.
Yeah, you probably could do something like that.
It's kind of weird in a tournament show, but
yeah,
they're right there.
Then the second match will be Shingo versus Jake Lee, which means the first match will be Aaron Wolf versus Hanare.
Wild card order.
Yeah, I think that Bolton Oiwa semi-main event is the most intriguing positioning here.
Yeah.
Because you easily could have gone Uemura Newman in that spot. You could have easily gone Zack Umino in that spot. Yeah.
I had Zack and Umino in that spot in my brain.
So did I, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since it's a B and you have Tsuchi to catch to A.
Well,
yeah, that would have made a ton of sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back-to-back A matches. Interesting.
So, yeah. Well, I do wonder if, like, on their original card, they had Gabe and Drilla between those two.
Maybe, yeah.
And they just, like, didn't pivot away from that.
Yeah.
Interesting card order. Do we have all the card orders?
Maybe. Let's see.
No. At least not on the English site.
Let's see. Looks like there's a match lineup button on.
Yeah, the matches are there, but
the orders. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's still just
random.
It doesn't say match one or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so we just have the match order. Man, because when I get the match order, I got work to do. I gotta plug in. I gotta see who's booked strong.
Yeah. But now I feel more.
Do you feel different about some stuff?
Well, I was working Bolton in as one of my. Because right now, in my current G1.sportprowrestling.com,
my man,
my current A block, I have the scenario where it's Takeshita, Bolton, and Tsuji all at 12, but Tsuji loses to both of them, and Takeshita and Bolton go through. So now I feel good about that Bolton going through.
Giving Bolton give him the little oomph.
Yeah, so
I think he's going to be over in Chicago.
Yeah, well, he was over. What didn't he?
Oh yeah.
What show was that earlier this year?
Jersey.
Yeah, New Beginning in New Jersey.
Yeah.
He wrestled. It was Ishii wrestled in that show, right?
Mm-hmm. It was Ishii. That match rocked.
Yeah, and he was over. Also, you would expect Ishii to kind of be the overwhelmingly over person in that match, but I feel like he won the crowd over, and they were super pumped when he won. So yeah, I think he's going to be over big, and I think he's going to get the big win. And yeah, I'm liking Bolton's. I'm feeling good about this Bolton pick that I have so far.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
You might have convinced me. I mean, not that I'm out on him. I think I said he's worth getting into, but
yeah.
Wow, that's a fun top 3 here. I mean, Uemura and Newman I think could be really good too.
Yeah.
So the top 3 here, it's sort of weird. You got Goto and Sonata like slotted in between Umino and Zack, and then I guess the rest of what I considered like the business end of the card. But Goto's great, so maybe that's why he's up there. So
does the Umino Zach positioning change your mind at all about Umino going through?
Only because I think with a guy like Umino, they did it in the New Japan Cup, or they have done it in the New Japan Cup, where they don't put him in main events. They keep him away from main events until the tail end of tournaments.
Gotcha. Not to like tip their hand,
I guess, or because they're just not sure, right? They're not sure. Maybe they're still not sure.
Yeah, I feel like the U.S. is a safe place to put Umino. Semi-main or main. I can see in Japan,
It's also a long, I mean, it probably won't be an actually long card. We're not talking AEW pay-per-view here, but like it's 9 matches, and sort of you can sort of split it in half, right? Where that Umino Zach match might be the long match of the first half. And then you can kind of shorten it again with Goto Sonata. Yumura Callum doesn't need a ton of time probably, and then you can let the last 2 matches really sort of spread their wings. So it's maybe there's an intermission.
Yeah, get your merch. Get your merch.
get your merch. That match feels slotted sort of like an intermission main, pre-intermission main.
Yeah.
Which that's an interesting approach in its own way too.
Yeah. Interesting
that Aaron Wolf's coming out first.
I'm very curious to see what his reaction is going to be like in the US.
Yeah. But he and Hanare, I mean, they're probably going to beat the shit out of each other.
Oh, yeah. Hanare is going to say, brother, I need you to hit me as hard as you can. I'm sure you've heard the story. Like Hanare like asks dudes like, hey, can you lay him in on me? Can you? Will you please? Yeah.
Like he's that good, and Hanare's great, so I'm excited for that. That's gonna set a tone though. I think that's cool.
Do you think Wolf needs to come with some new gear and lose to the Black Trunks?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's why he's coming out first, or he's in the first match. They like to do. They did that with Oleg, didn't they?
And was Bolton and Newman was that year that they both.
There's been a couple of those moments where it's early in the card and the guy comes out with new music, new gear, etc.
Yeah.
Do I think he needs it? No. Am I open to it? Absolutely.
Yeah. And last question, real quick here from Boston Crab Rangoon. What are your most anticipated G1 matches on a night 1 between Tsuji Takeshita, Zack Shota, Yuya Callum, Hanare Wolf, and Bolton and Oiwa?
Suddenly, Bolton and Oiwa.
Yeah.
Based on card placement. Everything else sort of par for the course, right? We've already talked about what's exciting on that first night, but I think you've got to take that match up a notch.
Yeah, I think just from also the history with Tsuji and Takeshita, and being there live to see them in the Tokyo Dome was a great matchup. So I think that match is an intriguing match. But yeah, I think that Bolton Oiwa really kind of catches my eye now on like, okay, they're giving these 2 young guys a semi-main event spot that they could have easily given to anybody else.
Right.
That screams, because I mean, I'm counting on a Bolton win, but I mean, if Oiwa wins, that could scream Oiwa's going to have a great G1.
Or at least a great start, right?
Right.
Sometimes there's kind of 2 very common paths where like guy starts off really hot, maybe wins 4 in a row, looks like they're going to be a threat, and then sort of tapers away. Or, right, dude loses 3, wins 6 in a row and goes to the final or whatever. So Oiwa could be that guy that like starts off hot. Really, that's his story, right? Started off super hot. Could he keep going? Could he keep it going? Could he keep it going? And then kind of falls off.
Yeah.
He's certainly either of these guys, Bolton or Oiwa, are a candidate for that sort of path, or to just like get after it and take it. I'm more pro that than the other path, but it's important to recognize that the hot start and falling off is pretty common too.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for our G1 Climax preview. Chris, you want to go ahead and plug the contest and site one more time?
Yeah, g1.sportiveprowrestling.com. Get your picks in. It's fun. It's a great time. And then I will, keep everyone updated on what everyone's got going on. And if you're in Chicago next weekend, I don't know, find a way to reach out. I'm around. Or keep an eye out for your favorite podcasters and writers in the New Japan space and inside the Now Arena. A lot of us will be there. So yeah, come say hi. We're a friendly gang.
Nice. And one quick news thing that we alluded to earlier, Hanma has announced that he's going to be retiring in the summer of 2027. So very interesting. All these kind of, quote unquote New Japan dad guys on their way out. So Tanahashi retired earlier this year, and now Tiger Mask is going to be done by the time people are probably listening to this, and Tenzon's retiring this year as well. Now Hanma's out of here, so man, it's these guys are wrapping it up.
A lot of guys wrapping it up. That's okay.
Yeah.
Hanma had a longer run than anyone expected him to, especially after that injury in 2017.
Yeah, Hanma Mania just kept running wild.
It ran wild, and it did. I think that really kept his career going. It gave him an extra 10 years on his career.
Yeah,
legit. So, and good for him. Good for him.
And then since you're here, this last question from Doc. It says,
I'm not answering that.
Well, the motel question.
No, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's asked, what was the worst motel experience and what was the best when you were on tour?
Yeah. Legendarily bad. It's a place called the Dutch Inn. It's in Jacksonville, Florida. It's in Florida, not to shame your home state. And it's not even, it has nothing to do with the state, really. Yeah, it's called, the place is called the Dutch Inn. Unfortunately we were there for 3 or 4 nights, because we had 2 shows in the area, and we just decided to post up in the same place. But before we decided that, we obviously needed it to be cheap, and it was very cheap, and there was very strange things that happened all around us. I'm not proud of the way that we left that hotel room. And I am motel room. And I am also ashamed of the way we treated the staff at that hotel. Well, we didn't really treat the staff anyway, but they did try to chase us down as we left the parking lot after we checked out. So, but I don't think the motel looked much different from when we went in. So it was a rough spot. So yeah, the toilet worked, the shower didn't. There was no hot water. It was a very strange time, and it was the longest tour we had been on at the time, and it was sort of the middle of that tour. So yeah, the Dutch Inn. I'd be surprised if it's still there or still called the Dutch Inn.
It's one of those.
And I think
it just changes names.
Someone else buys it and maybe fixes the water heater for a couple of months. So yeah, I don't have that's not a great story, but it was an ugly place.
Yeah. And
that was probably 2006, probably. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, I was probably 20 or 21.
What about best? Was there one that was
best? Oh, I mean, we got, we leveled up as we went. So, and we made a lot of really, really good friends in really good places. So I've stayed in some really neat spaces too. Mostly for free, which is awesome.
Nice.
But yeah, people, there was a time where people were sympathetic to musicians, that traveled and toured. So they would hook them up with anything they could hook them up with. And we had a really good friend who worked for Southwest Airlines, so we got a lot of free airline tickets. And I had a really good friend who worked for at a pretty high level, or someone they were related to worked at a really high level for Marriott. So I stayed in some really neat Marriott rooms over the years when we were on the road.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us for this week. Next week, we'll be back to review the opening night of G1 Climax and cover all this news. So remember, if you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KIStrongstyle. You can also make a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media on X and Blue Sky. Follow us at KIStrongstyle, at SocialSuplex, at Jeremy L. Donovan, at YB_Josh and Liger. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/socialsuplex. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy, just Keeping It Strong Style. On YouTube, we're at Social Suplex. You can join our Social Suplex Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans. You can email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com. And check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio with Rich and James, All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin, the Imps, AEW Adventure, Wrestling Art with Chris Slings, the AEW Match Guy with Sir Sam Brown, Tone Talk with Allie, Ann, and Leah, the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast, and Joshing Around with Tim and Eric. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review, and we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.